All right. Good evening, Santa Paula. I call this meeting to order at 6:35. Welcome so much to City Hall. We are going to start with our invocation, and have the privilege of having Father Tom from Guadalupe Church. I'm going to ask everybody to please stand, make sure your cell phones are off.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this honor and privilege. O Almighty God, we call upon you today to look upon our Mayor, Pedro Chavez, and the City Council members, and fill them with your blessing to guide their words and actions with prudence and integrity. Inspire them to carry out their duties in governing Santa Paula with dignity and honor for the good and well-being of all who work and live here. O God, we are grateful for what we have, and may we continue to work together to preserve all that is good in Santa Paula. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have Vice Mayor Juarez. Can you lead us in the pledge?
Be honored to. Feel free to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. If you need translation services, please come and see the city clerk. Si necesitan alguien para traducir, por favor, venga a ver la señorita que está aquí, la señorita Latshaw. All right, we are moving on to agenda. We have a roll call.
Councilmember Crosswhite.
Present.
Councilmember Cornejo.
Here.
Councilmember Ornelas.
Present.
Vice Mayor Juarez.
Here.
Mayor Chavez.
Here.
All present.
Thank you very much. We have a report from closed session. Ms. Castillo.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
This evening, the council recessed into closed session on items 5A and 5B in the special meeting agenda. Those two items are 5A, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation.
Ms. Castillo, I think your microphone's not working. Can you grab the one that's over there on the table? James, could you? Gotta look into that.
All right. We'll start again. This evening, council recessed into closed session on item 5A in the special meeting agenda, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code 5456.9D4 with the initiation of litigation for one case. And items 5B, conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code 54956.8 for a property addressed at 160 South Palm, Santa Paula, California. And the agency negotiator was James Mason, Community Economic Development Director, with negotiating parties involving the City of Santa Paula and Farmers Irrigation Company. There were no reportable actions taken this evening. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Castillo. We are moving on to agenda item 6, public comment. We have Mr. Redmond. You're up first, sir.
Good evening, Mayor. Are we on here?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay. Mayor Chavez, Council, fellow Santa Paulans, good evening. I'm here again to talk about the Aviation Museum of Santa Paula's Roaring Twenties event that's going to be held this Saturday evening, just a couple of days from now, at the airport. I want to report to you that we have food provided by Scooter's Barbecue in Ventura. They promised to put on an excellent barbecue for us. But the dessert topping for this event is going to be the Barrel House Whalers, the group that we know well here in Santa Paula that will provide music for dancing. We have accumulated so far a number of very interesting gifts that we are going to offer at our silent auction. All proceeds are going to go to support our youth group that is now part of the Scouts of America, who are getting a nice presentation tonight. and also to keep our doors open so we can continue to offer the museum as a resource as part of our wonderful block of museums in Santa Paula. And that's pretty much all I have to say, except that we have some flyers that Julie is going to have at her desk and leave around if anybody is interested getting last-minute tickets, but the tickets are going fast. Good evening.
And when is the event and the
It is
time?
Saturday evening, this Saturday, the 20th, at 6 p.m. at the Santa Paula Airport.
And the theme is?
This theme is Roaring Twenties.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor.
I got it. All right, thanks so much. We're moving on, to Nicole Sanders.
Hi, my name is Nicole Sanders. I'm a volunteer with VC Defensa. I was happy to learn that the ad hoc committee was approved and that the city is looking into ways that can help our community. And I implore the city council to create a legal defense fund for immigrants that can directly help them in their immigration cases so that they can stay with their families and they can continue to live in their homes without fear that they will be evicted. Their children can continue to go to school, and they don't have to worry about wondering if their parents are coming home or where their next meal is coming from. ICE targets the Latino community daily because of the color of our skin and the language that we speak. They just assume that every single person who doesn't look a specific way must be an illegal immigrant, and they are harassing community members daily. With the budget increase on the horizon for ICE, this will only get worse, and we must be proactive in our fight for our community, and that starts with real material support that can keep people stable and secure. I also want to add that we are having a volunteer meeting this Saturday. If you would like more information, you are more than welcome to approach me. I have flyers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have Angel Garza.
Good evening, everyone, council members. My name is Angel Garza. I am a member of CAUSE and a resident of the 400 Mobile Estates, also known as Riverside Edge. On behalf of the 164 families and homeowners in that park, I would like to give thanks to every single one of the entire city staff for all their work and the city council for voting to amend and update and modernize the mobile home rent stabilization ordinance. We appreciate the thoughtful discussion on why it's so important to have an open, meaningful, and democratic process for public input and participation. As this workshop gets planned out, we would like to ask that the structure be so that people are not limited to just 3-minute comments. We want to be able to respond to proposed amendments that are drafted by the staff, as well as make comprehensive proposals, engage in back and forth discussions in kind of a round table format. I want to also ask that we guarantee that there's enough translation services for everyone around. As you have seen before, this issue has drawn large crowds, so we want to make sure that everyone's able to both understand what's going on and make their voices heard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Amalia Ochoa. And we're going to have someone translate, so do we have our translator in the back that can come forward? Sí? Okay, perfecto.
Voy a terminarlo, tú lo traduces. Buenas tardes, una vez más. Estimados miembros del Consejo Municipal y personal de la ciudad, mi nombre es Amalia Ochoa y soy una orgullosa líder comunitaria activista de causa. Es un placer estar aquí esta noche para hablarles sobre nuestra organización.
Good evening one more time.
I'm gonna stop you real quick because vas a hablar en la agenda, ¿no? Tenemos algo ya ya estás en la agenda para hablar. Entonces, te voy a pedir que hables cuando venga tu grupo.
Ok.
¿Sale? Porque ya está en la agenda.
Gracias, Mayor.
Sí, disculpe, gracias. Yeah, it's going to be 7D. Nidia, are you also speaking with the, okay, so we'll. This is something that's not on the agenda, okay? Okay.
¿Listo? Buenas tardes, miembros del concilio. Mi nombre es Amalia Ochoa. Quiero primero darle las gracias por escuchar a nuestra comunidad y por crear el comité especial. Eso muestra que reconocen que el tema de los inmigrantes y la defensa legal no puede seguir ignorándose. Pero hoy quiero recordarles que este comité no es solo un paso simbólico. Necesitamos resultados claros, un plan de acción con tiempos definidos, recursos identificados y un compromiso de regresar con propuestas concretas para asistencia económica y legal.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Amalia Ochoa. I want to first thank you all for hearing me out and for hearing out our community and for creating the special committee. This shows us that you guys recognize the subject of the immigrants and in legal defense that we cannot keep on ignoring. But tonight, I want to remind you all that this committee cannot just be a symbolic step. We need clear results and a plan of action with definite times, resources that are identified, and compromise to go back to the with proposals that are concrete and assistance with financial and legal.
Las familias que representamos ya han esperado demasiado, viven en el miedo cada día. Recientemente ha habido más presencia de ICE. El 10 y 15 de septiembre estuvieron por Best Barbecue y alrededor de nuestro pueblo amenazando la comunidad. Esperamos que ustedes como concilio supervisen y se aseguren de que el comité tenga poder para recomendar y haya presupuesto asignado posiblemente de la medida T.
The families that we represent have been waiting for way too long. They live in fear every day. Recently, there was ICE presence on the 10th and 15th of September. They were by Best Barbecue, and around the community, they were threatening our communities. Today, we wait for you to supervise and assure that the committee will be able to recommend a proposal, an assigned proposal, and that we can move forward with Measure T.
Les agradezco por su atención y por tomar en serio este trabajo. Los vamos a seguir acompañando. Nuestra comunidad merece respeto y resultados, no solo promesas. Muchas gracias.
I thank you for your attention and for taking this job seriously. We will keep being behind you. Our community deserves respect and results, not just promises. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amalia. Nidia?
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Nidia. I'm a policy advocate with CAUSE. First, I want to thank you for creating the ad hoc committee. That decision shows that you heard our community and that you recognize immigrant families in Santa Paula deserve protection and dignity. What we need next is urgency and follow-through. Our community can't afford delays while ICE increases its presence in our neighborhoods. In October, ICE will get an unprecedented amount of funding, causing a lot of fear and uncertainty in our communities. Our families and neighbors are living with the daily fear of being separated from their loved ones. We can't wait months for change. We need action now to make sure that people have the resources they need to have a chance at due process and keep families together. Last week, our team became aware of aggressive ICE activity on Harvard at the Best Barbecue. Community members were threatened with guns and pepper spray for illegally observing and in efforts to identify the agents. This presence and show of force only created fear. Community members became aware, and the streets and businesses were empty, impacting sales for the week and everyday activities. That's why we're asking you to make a real commitment. at a minimum, dedicate $200,000 to fund legal aid to at least cover the cost of an attorney, paralegal, or contract out with a nonprofit. The investment would mean that families in our city are not left defenseless when their rights are on the line. With those resources, families will have a fighting chance to stay together, keep the breadwinners home, and defend their rights. We're grateful for the steps you've taken, and we're counting on you to keep going quickly and with courage. Our community will continue to be here, standing with you, to make sure that this committee leads to tangible results. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to item 7A. We have some recognition, and I wanted to invite Scout Troop 304 to please join us here at the podium. And I had the opportunity to meet these young people a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was last week, no?
Yeah, last week.
Yeah, and so we were at their Boy Scout troop, their Scout troop, the log, the hut. And so I wanted to give them an opportunity to share a little bit about their experience, and then let people know about what opportunities you provide for other young people so they can get involved. And so I'm giving you the floor.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, council members, and the community for having us here tonight. My name is Arcelia Long. I have the pleasure of being one of our adult leaders for Troops 304 and 1304 here in Santa Paula. And without further ado, I'm passing the mic over to our leaders of the troop.
Good evening. My name is Lola Long, and I am the founder of our brand new troop, 1304, which is the girls' troop. On top of that, we also have Troop 304, which is for the boys. Any youth ages 11 to 17 are welcome to join, regardless of their ethnicity, religion, or background. Scouting America is a wonderful opportunity where you can learn about adventure, service, and leadership. Thank you.
Also, can we ask how we swap to the slide?
Oh, sorry.
Do we point at any particular place? Okay, each of them have one slide.
There, I just did that one. You did that? Yes, thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. So what we've been up to recently is we just had a great time at Camp Chawanaki up in Shaver Lake in the Sierra Nevadas. Backpacking trip not too long ago, and pretty much right here in Ojai. We've done some service projects. One of them, Blanchard Library, we retired the flag. We had a flag ceremony for it, and it was really great. Lots of great learning experiences for us. Troop 103, 304 was formed. Now we welcome females into our scouting program, and we also have weekly meetings on Mondays from 7 to 8 p.m. And we also have an upcoming fishing trip this Saturday, and our jamboree, aka Jody, Joda, is going to be happening October 17th through 19th, and we will be connecting with Scouts Worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you. Next slide.
Good evening. We are open to all youth aged 11 to 17, and we Scouts encourages confidence, friendships, and leadership skills. Our contact information is up there, so.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Asher Gonzalez. I am the Senior Patrol Leader of Troop 304. I wanted to talk a little bit about how Scouting contributes to the community. The great part about Scouting is that it's not just a whole bunch of people behind suits in a boardroom, or it's not numbers on a merger. It is real. It is service-oriented. It is community-based. We love to give back to the community that has given so much to us. However, in order for that to happen, we need help from the community as well. Any organizations who help with community service, we would love to get in contact with you guys so that way we can help further advance our troop and the service inside of our community. If anybody is in the audience and they'd like to sponsor a Scout, please get in contact with us so we can do that. And ultimately help us either monetarily or with donations so that way we can help the community even more. Thank you.
Thank you.
One last slide. Asher touched upon the need to sponsor a scout. We recently had a recruitment event where we formed our troop 1304, and we have a good amount of youth in Santa Paula who are interested in this adventure with us. There are at least 3 or 4 in this moment who are very eager to join, but their families do not have the financial needs to join. And we definitely want to make scouting accessible to every youth in Santa Paula. So we are offering for any organization or person who would like to either in part or fully sponsor a scout to join, please reach out. And we hopefully will also be announcing some fundraisers in our near future, trying to make sure that we have funds available to sponsor anybody who's interested. Yeah.
Please advance. My name is Asher Gonzalez, and thank you very much for joining us. I'd also like, me and everybody at our troop would also like to invite you guys to do a good turn or a good deed daily. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere.
1 second.
Thank you.
I have a certificate because I noticed that. Let's give him a hand. Yes, go ahead, Councilman.
I just have a question. What is the cost to sponsor a scout? Or what would it cost for someone to have their child join and participate?
So the annual registration fees that we pay to the council is $160, and then the cost of uniforms can vary depending on a variety of factors. But I would say probably a full uniform, Class Bs and Class As, is maybe around $200, $250. We are fortunate that a lot of members of our current troop do have extra backpack or gear. We've been able to pass down things that people are done using. We've had some donations of like camping gear that we're able to pass down from person to person. But we're always accepting if someone has tents or fishing poles or camping gear or hiking gear that they're ready to pass along. We definitely are interested in those as well to help the scouts that maybe can't fully, purchase new gear on their own.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Are there any more questions?
I have a certificate for you. So I noticed when I went to your hut that there wasn't anything from the city on the wall. And so I'll bring you a actual certificate to put this on. And that'll be my next visit, so I'll come next Monday. But in the meantime, I want you to take this back, and I'd love a picture with you guys as well.
Great.
All right?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We have the presentation, so I'll take it.
Okay, thank you so much.
So guys, turn around.
Do you guys want me in or just?
Yes, of course, of course, of course.
Before you go away, let me just check, because I heard it clicking this time. I heard it clicking last time, to make sure. Yes, I got those others.
Okay, perfect.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations again.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
see you next week, yeah? Okay. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.
All right, so that was a full circle moment for me because I was a Boy Scout. You were a Boy Scout too, I'm guessing, right?
No.
Andy was a Boy Scout.
No, but if I could just make a comment, they're already leaving, but there's a lot of youth in our city. Now, of course, there's going to be females that have gone from young boys to men. My son was a Tiger Cub and went all the way to Eagle Scout. And something you may not know, but I was never a scout, but I was a Cub Master for Pack 3305 and the Assistant Scout Master for Pack 305.
All right. We have next up Ventura County Museum. Ms. Brokaw, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for letting me be here today. I will try to be very quick because you have a lot on your agenda. As you know, on July 18th of this year, we announced that we were making a change in our operating model. And I want to thank you the council and the staff are asking me to come and do this presentation because a lot is at play. A lot of things are changing. So I'll go through a little background. I think most of you know this, but the the Agriculture Museum is operated by the Museum of Ventura County. It's in the Mill Building, which is a building owned by the Ventura County Transportation Commission. We have a lease with them. We opened in September of 2011. Up until the pandemic, we were open 5 days a week. We charged about $5 for adults. We closed during COVID, reopened free in the summer of 2022. We're open 4 days a week. We do about 6 community programs a year, including the very popular Tractor Fair, which follows the Labor Day Parade. And we do outreach tours for children. They're free for Title I kids. Last year, we got about 1,200 kids coming through for tours. We love the Agriculture Museum. I live in Santa Paula. I'm a member of the Chamber Board here in Santa Paula. I support everything about Santa Paula. And we have been struggling with the operations of the Ag Museum for quite some time. And the board elevated this as a conversation about a year ago. And these are the problems. It's really expensive. Museums are very expensive. So the direct costs, this does not include any of my time, any of the bookkeeper's time, anything like that. It costs $320,000 a year to keep it open. I'll go into that a little bit. And we have limited visitors. Even though we're free, we've tried really to make it as accessible as possible. We get a little bit under 10,000 visitors a year. That is including for the events that we have. This has come up. So this is what goes into the expenses. The building costs are 40%, so if you do the math, that's about $120,000, $130,000 a year. Salaries are 25%. Programs and exhibitions are 15%. Why is that so high? It is an old building. It is a big building. You all have been in there. There are literally holes in the wood. We have to keep it air conditioned. There's repairs, there's utilities, et cetera. Because we rent it out, we have to pay property tax on it. Salaries are high. We pay 2 people to be there at all times because it's not safe for one person to be there alone. And we're very proud to be a living wage organization. So our base wage is, $20.39 an hour. So those are some of the reasons that the costs are so high. All this, the board has been looking at a lot of different options. I'm just going to go back for a second. Many of you know that back in 2017, the Museum of Ventura County almost closed, and which would have included the Agriculture Museum. And at that point, we went very public and said, we have a problem, and our choice is either to close or to get public funding. We didn't do that in this case. We did look at closure, because we had to look at all of our options, but we ended up coming up with what we thought was a pretty good middle-of-the-ground solution, which was to eliminate all of the passive visiting hours. These are hours that we're just open. We don't have anything going on. We have wonderful exhibits, but that is the only things there. And those are the times that we don't get very many people coming through the door. So if we eliminate that, we cut a lot of our expenses. We provide one free big community program per month. So we just had Tractor Fair. We had 1,006 people there. Again, we have about 9,500 people a year. We do 1,000 people in one day. Let's limit our expenses and just do what we can do. Maximize private rentals to increase earned revenue. I just do want to say here, this is something that we don't take lightly. We're a nonprofit. We are a community benefit. We will not compete with the private sector here. There are other private rental venues in town. We are at a different price point. If it does become a competition, we will not compete with people who are actually paying rent, and that is their business. So I just want to put that out there so that you're aware of that. We're going to close the store, and that would all be effective January 2026. That's what we announced on July 18th. I'm really happy to say that now we have a new operating model that we're looking at, and this is what's changed. Instead of eliminating the passive visiting hours, we're going to reduce them and stay open 1 day a week. That would be on Sundays. We would still be free. Everything else stays the same, and this new option is possible through a partnership with another nonprofit, One Step a la Vez. Some of you know a lot about it, which is located in Fillmore. It needs space to serve more youth in its core mission. We can provide them the space 2 days a week, and in exchange, they can do some professional development and some job training with their youth, and the youth can stay and be the front desk staff with adult supervision. We'll still have one staff person from the museum. One Step a la Vez will also have a staff person. So we're in conversations about that, and we think it's a really elegant solution that we're proud to be a part of. Those are not the only conversations that we're having. You all have been wonderful in providing ideas. And there's another museum that is also that you've just signed an agreement for, the Oil Museum. We're in conversations with them. As other people come to us, as what I've said, and I've said this to Dan, and thank you so much, Dan, for your support, and you're pushing back on me. We are completely open. Our goal is to have a community benefit organization here in this town that we can keep going, where we are not draining our very limited reserves. That is my presentation, and I would love to answer any questions if you have any.
Questions from council members? All right, seeing none, thank you so much for providing that
More to
information.
come. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we have next up item 7C, and I'm going to invite Elvia Hernandez to be the recipient of this recognition this year in honor of Latino or Hispanic Heritage Month. And I'd like an opportunity for you to say a few words, so go ahead and, por favor,
Pues,
denos tu mensaje.
en español, so necesito
Oh, hold on,
alguien que
can
lo
we
haga.
have the translator, please? ¿Podemos cambiar a la muchacha, por favor? Sí, gracias.
Es porque sabe más bonito español.
Lo bueno que todos hablamos español aquí, pero hay muchas personas allá en la cámara que no.
Antes que nada, buenas tardes, señor alcalde y miembros del consejo, que los conozco a todos y es un orgullo tenerlos con nosotros.
First off, good evening, everyone here and council members. I know everyone, and it's an honor to be here in front of you tonight.
Ok.
Can you also speak into the speaker when you translate? Thank you.
Ser hispana es algo más que una palabra. Representa ser una persona trabajadora, honesta, con valores en toda la extensión de la palabra. Los hispanos, fuera de sus lugares de origen, salen para hacer la diferencia tanto en los campos de cultivo, restaurantes, construcción y otros oficios.
Being Hispanic is more than just a word. It represents to be a hardworking person, honest, with full of values, to the full extension of the word. Us Hispanics, outside of leaving our place of origin, we do make a difference, not only in agriculture, but in restaurants, construction, and other buildings.
Que con el tiempo forman a personas profesionales como maestros, abogados, ingenieros, arquitectos y más, entre otras profesiones.
That within time, it forms people with different professions such as attorneys, engineers, architects, in between other professions.
Los hispanos venimos a este país a tener oportunidad de trabajos para sostener a nuestras familias. Donde quiera que los hispanos, aunque estemos fuera de nuestros países, nunca dejamos de extrañar el olor de la tierra mojada, sus colores tan brillantes, añoramos todo eso.
Us Hispanics, we come to this country for better opportunities of work, where it allows us to support our families. Wherever we go, Hispanics, whether we're outside of our countries, that we also miss the smell of the wet soil and its vibrant colors. We dream of all of that.
En Santa Paula, donde la mayoría de la población es hispana, nos orgullece tener un espacio como nuestro, especialmente en la parroquia de Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe, donde todos son abrazados, no están solos, todos estamos aquí para apoyarnos unos a otros.
Here in Santa Paula, where the majority of the people are Hispanic, we are very proud to have our own space, such as the Church of Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe, where everyone is hugged and no one is alone. Everyone is here to support one another.
Para mí es más que un privilegio ser hispano. Dios bendiga a todos los hispanos y a todos en general.
For me, it is more than a privilege to be Hispanic. May God bless all Hispanics and everyone in general.
Y voy a agregar algo más. Tenemos un evento que pasó apenas el viernes pasado, en donde estamos demostrando nuestra cultura hispana.
I want to talk about an event that occurred on Friday where we were showcasing our Hispanic heritage.
En el periódico que salió el día de hoy, está en la primera plana lo que hicimos y seguiremos haciendo este tipo de eventos con la cultura hispana por delante.
Right here, I am showing you the newspaper where we're on the front page where it showcases everything that we did to show our Hispanic culture, and we will keep doing it moving forward.
Que vivan los hispanos.
Long live Hispanics.
Muchas gracias, Selvia. Le voy a presentar, I'm going to present this proclamation. Este es certificado. Vamos a tomar una foto. Again, we have so much rich culture in our community, and it's great when all that merges together because everyone gets to share and celebrate in that. Next up, we have item 7D. Oh. She's part of the presentation. Item 7D. Chris, can you come forward, please, along with your speakers? And the reason why I asked Chris to come is because I got a lot of questions from people asking, who are these people that come to meetings all the time and come wearing their blue shirts that just say cause? And so I thought it was a good opportunity to provide that public education to the committee, hearing first from the organization and the community leaders that are here.
Thank you so much. My name is Chris Gabriel. I am the Associate Organizing Director with Cause, which is a community organization that works in both Ventura County and Santa Barbara County. And tonight, Amalia Ochoa is going to join me and the couple of youth leaders that we had. One had to pinch hit at a site visit with a foundation, and the other two, they're such good kids, actually couldn't get out of confirmation class over here. So they're quite wonderful. But we do work on both adult issues, young adult issues, and youth issues. And Cause stands for Central Coast Alliance United for a Sustainable Economy. But it's a little bit like Voldemort with Harry Potter. You don't want to say it too many times out loud because you're not 100% sure what's going to happen. So we just say Cause, and it's now a lot easier to digest. Cause works on a variety of issues. We've been around since 2001, and I don't know if you know a little fun fact about Cause, but it was actually founded by a Santa Paula resident, a gentleman by the name of Marcos Vargas. And he was doing a master's project at UCLA, and they said, go find an issue to work on. So he came back to his hometown and started to work on farm worker issues, living wage campaigns in 2001. And so that built an organization all the way up to today, which is a multi-issue organization. Now, why it's important to kind of just tell a little bit of the distinction about the organization. I was talking to James Mason. We had this great conversation, and he once mentioned to me, he said, hey, I'm not 100% sure about your agenda, but I do appreciate the fact that you're always coming willing, with the people, with open arms, to work together in concert, to listen, but as well as to tell us what you guys care about. And I meant to say, you know, once we go ahead and have lunch, I'm going to tell them the agenda is pretty simple. Now, the tactics and the strategies might be a little complex, but the agenda is simple. Unlike advocates that work on behalf of others, community organizers help people do for themselves. And so in that same spirit of community organizing, where we're helping people do for themselves, our agenda literally comes from the people in the community. We don't say, hey, we're going to work on this issue and force it down folks' throats. We go into the community, we door knock, we have conversations, we go to churches, we go to a variety of events, and we ask folks, what do you care about? Is this heaven on earth? Is it absolutely perfect? Because if it is, well, then fantastic, high five, we can move on. But normally, it isn't. There are a few things that folks would like to change, few things that folks would like to see improved in their community. But instead of saying, hey, we'll be your hope and do it for you, we say, hey, do you have 10, 15, 20 people that feel the same way you do? Because if you do, let's get together in a meeting, talk about that problem, turn it into a winnable issue, and then create a campaign that can build the leadership development skills, the confidence and the competence when dealing with social and political infrastructure, so folks can be better participants in the democratic process and actually win on issues that improve their communities. I'll give you a quick example that might resonate with a lot of you guys. Measure R. So when I came to CAUSE last August, first thing I asked in Santa Paula was, what do folks care about? So I started to go around and talk to people, and I thought it would be a variety of things. But the one thing that was on everybody's mind were the streets. We need street improvements. And I heard from over and over, person by person, didn't matter where they lived in the city, we want our streets improved. And I happened to come to City Hall. I just wanted to introduce myself to people, but the door was locked at about 4:05. But I read on the outside little marker, I'm an old guy, so I like reading things, and there was a little thing about Measure R and what it did. So I took that information and brought it back to the people and say, what do you guys think? Could this be an issue that begins to solve the problem that we have in our community? Now, don't forget, if you're looking at just straight political ideology, certain organizations are not going to work on regressive tax things versus progressive tax things. But for us, it wasn't about politics. It was just about common sense practices that figured out ways in which to improve the community in a way that they wanted. So we talked to the folks. Folks agreed to work on it. And then we signed up and started working on the Measure R campaign. But if you notice, there was one little bit that was a little bit different. What did we ask for? That Oversight and Implementation Committee. Why? Not just because we wanted you guys to do extra work. No, we didn't want that at all. But we wanted to figure out other meaningful ways so that people could participate in the democratic process, have their voices heard, and be part of the solution. So when you see CAUSE and you see the blue shirts and you see folks come up, realize that what we're trying to do is develop the leadership skills in folks so that they could follow through on democracy's promise, which is every resident gets an opportunity to be part of good government. And if you got folks that are willing to be part of good government, well, shoot, you got to hope for a better tomorrow. So before you guys go to questions, if you have them, and I hope you do, let me just turn it over to Amalia, who will give you her perspective on CAUSE, but also give you something a little bit motivational. She'll say it in Spanish, I'll do it in English.
Buenas tardes una vez más. Estimados miembros del Consejo Municipal y personal de la ciudad, mi nombre es Amalia Ochoa y soy una orgullosa líder comunitaria y activista de causa. Es un placer estar aquí esta noche para hablarles sobre una organización. Como ha dicho Chris, Causa es una organización y para la gente de la comunidad. Soy una trabajadora agrícola jubilada. Trabajé en los campos durante más de 40 años, desde San Diego hasta Oxnard. Me encanta Causa, por muchas razones, pero una de las principales es porque me recuerda cómo era trabajar con Dolores Huerta. Dolores siempre decía que cada momento es una oportunidad para organizar a la comunidad. Cada persona puede ser un líder potencial para su comunidad. Y si estás preparado y tienes una estrategia, cada día te ofrecerá la oportunidad de cambiar el mundo. Así es exactamente como trabaja Causa. Cada día ayudando a la gente de la comunidad, darse cuenta de que su voz importa y que cuando se organizan juntos pueden crear el poder para cambiar el mundo de forma positiva. En los últimos 2 años hemos conseguido grandes victorias. Durante la pandemia ayudamos a aprobar moratorias locales de desalojos en Santa María, Santa Bárbara, Oxnard, Ventura y aquí en Santa Paula. Evitamos recortes en los servicios y aumentos en las tarifas y ampliamos el transporte público en toda la región, al tiempo que mejoramos el transporte escolar en las comunidades de trabajadores agrícolas. Además, probamos una ordenanza de control de alquileres y desalojos por causa, justa en Oxnard, que limita los aumentos de alquiler al 4% anual. Y recientemente también conseguimos una ordenanza contra las represalias, el acoso a los inquilinos en Oxnard. Causa nos ayuda a recordar que no estamos solos. Causa nos ayuda a recordar a aquellos líderes y luchadores que nos han precavido. Causa nos ayuda a recordar que nosotros somos líderes de hoy y que debemos guiar a la gente hacia un mañana mejor. Para tener éxito debemos unirnos y luchar con estrategia y establecer relaciones con todas las personas, no solo con aquellos que siempre están de acuerdo con nosotros, sino por todos aquellos que se comprometen a hacer de esta ciudad la mejor ciudad del mundo. Y luego lo más importante, Causa nos ayuda a recordar que debemos poner el poder de las personas organizadas en acciones justas y estratégicas que mejoren la calidad de vida de las personas en nuestra hermosa ciudad. Existe el mundo como es y el mundo como debería ser. Hoy vivimos en el mundo como es, pero mañana seguimos la lucha por un mundo más justo, digno y lleno de paz. Causa nos ayuda a recordar que el destino de nuestro futuro está en nuestras manos. Causa nos enseña que solo perdemos cuando dejamos de luchar por la justicia. Y eso nunca sucederá. Dios bendiga Causa, Dios les bendiga a todos y Dios bendiga la gran ciudad de Santa Paula. Sí se puede.
Gracias. You can see how poetic she is. She said it better than I could ever. Good afternoon again, dear members of the City Council and City staff. My name is Amalia Ochoa, and I am a proud member of CAUSE. It is a pleasure to be before you tonight to speak about our organization. As Chris has said, CAUSE is an organization of and for the people of the community. I am a retired farm worker. I worked in the fields for over 40 years, from San Diego to Oxnard. I love CAUSE for many reasons, but one of the main ones is because it reminds me of what it was like to work with Dolores Huerta. Dolores always said that every moment is an opportunity for community organizing. Every person can be a potential leader for their community, and if you're prepared and strategic, every day will present the chance to change the world. This is exactly how CAUSE works every day, helping community people realize that their voice matters, and when organized together, they can create the power to positively change the world. In just the past couple of years, we've had some great victories. During the pandemic, we helped pass local eviction moratoriums in Santa Maria, Santa Barbara, Oxnard, Ventura, and right here in Santa Paula. We prevented service cuts and fees hikes and expanded public transportation throughout the region while improving school bus access in farm worker communities. And we just passed a rent control and just cause eviction ordinance in Oxnard, limiting rent increases to 4% per year, and recently won an anti-tenant retaliation and harassment ordinance over there in Oxnard as well. Cause helps us remember that we are not alone. Cause helps remember those leaders and fighters that have come before us. Cause helps us remember that we are the leaders of today that must lead people into a better tomorrow. In order to be successful, we must come together and fight with strategy and build relationships with all people, not just those that always agree with us, but all those who are committed to making this city the best city in the world. And then, most importantly, Cause helps us remember to put the power of organized people into righteous and strategic action that improves the quality of life for people living in our beautiful city. There is the world as it is, and the world as it should be. Today we stand in the world as it is, but tomorrow we get back to work making the world as it should be. A world with justice, a world with dignity, and a world with peace. Cause helps us remember that we hold the fate of our future in our own hands. But Cause teaches us that we only lose when we stop fighting for justice, and that, my friends, will never happen. God bless Cause, God bless you all, and God bless the great city of Santa Paula. Si se puede. Amalia Ochoa, who could have said it better than that? We work on issues people care about, and we figure it out along the way, but we always work to build relationships. That is the power that we have, along with people power, that will keep us making good improvements and positive strides here in the city of Santa Paula. Thank you for your time. We're here for
Thank
any
you.
questions that you have.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We are going on to 7E. We have the California Department of Insurance. Are they present or are they on Zoom?
Mayor, they were supposed to be on a Zoom, but they've not logged on.
We'll come back to them then. Let's give.
If we could
the-
do
the
that,
fire
unless she
department.
happens to be in the audience and showed in person. Lori Kolb?
Lori?
No. No.
All right, Ventura County Fire Department. Chief Williams.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Before I start, I want to know if Chris could do my voiceover for my presentation. He's got that DJ voice that I don't have. So, about it, Julie? Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, city staff, and members of the public. My name is Joe Williams, your fire chief, and this is your quarter two department report. And I will be brief, being the sixth presentation tonight. Calls for service in quarter two were down from the previous year. You can see, let's see, I was thinking about another slide there. I'll go to another slide that shows other quarters, and you'll be able to see how different years stack up to each other. As it's been for the last 3.5 years I presented to you, represent 5% of the calls of the county. And here's the other slide I was talking about. It gives you a better perspective of the busiest times of the year for call. And we did have a drop off in quarter two, and we're almost through quarter three, so I'll bring back to you some interesting data, and I guarantee you it'll probably be back in the 700s. Here's a new slide, kind of has a heat map showing where the calls are dispersed of in the city. And then that top right, this is interesting. They let you know what are the busiest times of the day we receive our calls. So I think the busiest time is 11 a.m. and through sunset. The number one type of medical call we respond to is falls. I will show you on the next slide under traumatic or full arrest. There was a jump of 300%, and I went, wow, that's a lot. So I went back 2 years of reports, and you actually average 8 to 9 full arrests in the city, so we had a down quarter. So that is actually, it should even out next quarter. Here's an update on new Station 29, still on schedule to finish in spring of 26. This is from July. Looks like the date's covered up a little at the top left there. Looks like the firefighters are going to have their own skate park next door. Or a good view of it. It's going to be a beautiful building. Some of the incidents we've had this summer, This was a carport fire that extended into the kitchen. It looks like it broke through the window right there. I believe this might have been a former dispatcher of the city's home. This is a river bottom fire. I let city staff know about fairly early on, and it ended up being about 55 acres. I don't know if you remember this one. If you look on the left there, that is our satellite cameras from, I believe, South Mountain. Yeah, it says up the top, South Mountain. That is AI technology that will zoom in on new starts, and it lets us see, even at our dispatch center, the fire progress. Great picture here. You can see on the right, those two kind of buses are crew buggies. That's a 20-person crew from very east end of Ventura that came in here. We have a water tender, fire engine, and our Firehawk helicopter that drops 1,000 gallons a minute and keeps that fire at 55 acres instead of growing to greater than 100 and larger.
Wow.
This is the that video right there, or GIF on the left, is very early on this fire. This was the carport fire. Does it have the date on there? Yeah, in August. It was about a 100-degree day. It was mid-morning. I think we ended up having 17 cars damaged, and it was about 8 or 9 in a row where the fire was, and the radiant heat was so strong that it melted the back half of cars to the right off the picture there. So this extended into the homes. If you look at the video on the left, you can see how close the single-story apartments are to the carport. So the fire, as it rolled underneath the front and back of the carport roof, went right into the windows and affected the unit. So, yeah, it was a large 2-alarm fire. No injuries that I was aware of that day, and Red Cross was able to come out and give shelter to those who lost it. What's interesting about this, I want to talk about our rescue ambulance program. This is a TC, I believe, on Harvard. But that rescue ambulance is one of 5 in the county. We are the only agency, as of in April, who is delivering whole blood in the field. We were the first, the rescue ambulance in Camarillo was the first field ambulance in the state of California to give whole blood in the field. So you have one at RA 26, Rescue Ambulance 26, that also carries whole blood. The only ambulances in the county, the 5. And a great celebration that was a little late, but better late than never at the park. I love that picture. And sorry, Councilmember Cornejo, you were missing, but maybe Christmas we'll get the Mack engine back out for you. So that was a great day, Labor Day parade, and smiles on everybody on the fire engine, including the police chief. And with that, happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any questions for our chief? Yes.
I actually have one. I live in a senior neighborhood, and so we see your vehicles maybe more often than some neighborhoods, primarily Falls. We always, and I'm asked this, and so that's why I ask you. Usually there are 3 vehicles that come in, including the ambulance and the AMR vehicle. And if they take someone to a hospital, it seems like they always go in the AMR vehicle first, if there's a choice. Is there a reason for that?
We have a partnership with them, with AMR, and so we will, the yellow ambulance that is in your area, that's their first in, so they're going to come no matter what. We have a lot more fire stations in the county than AMR stations, so we want to always have our apparatus coming, but they have the contract in the city to perform transports. And then if there's an ambulance greater than 10 minutes away, we'll just transport, or there's multiple patients. We will use the ambulance to transport.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Chief, with the scrutiny that insurance companies are doing to homeowners, has there been any change in how the fire department handles defensible spaces, or is that still a city code enforcement responsibility?
If they are a part of the fire hazard reduction program, which is when they live near brush, is the best way to put it, they probably are part of one of the strictest, I guess, fire prevention measures in the country. So when we require 100 feet of clearance.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
I just wanted to, well, thank you for your presentation, but ask you, when you mentioned whole blood, I don't want to assume. So are you referring to they carry blood, and if there's someone who needs it, then that's given?
Yeah, so if somebody has a gastrointestinal bleed or a trauma, a stabbing, a car accident, they can administer. In the past, we would use IV fluids, which is just salt water. And if you, sorry for the common terminology, but if you have a hole in your arm and you're bleeding out of it, adding salt water doesn't make it better. You actually lose more fluid. So with whole blood and controlling the bleeding, better chance of survival.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, well, thank you. Oh, go ahead, Councilman.
Just one real quick question. On the major fire incidents that we had over this last period, do you know if any of them were determined to be arson?
I do not have the information, but I can get back to you. Which fire particularly are you thinking of?
I mean,
Or
the
fires.
the structure fires are the ones that I get the most questions or have heard the most commentary on in the community of, oh, was it arson, was it not arson? So I just didn't know if you happened to know if there had been a determination made ultimately.
Yeah. There will be designations as suspicious, but as they go to court and when DAs decide to prosecute or not, that's when we'll find out. It's not always up to us. Our investigators will do the investigation and present their findings.
All right, well, thank you for what you do, and we'll see you soon. All right. I'm going to, is the next person? No, did I make it? Okay. All right. So I'm actually going to go to action items 12A and 12B. We have some consultants that are on the line that we're accommodating our Public Works Department. So if we can move to item 12A, Telegraph Road widening and roundabout update. Yeah.
Hello. Is this on? Okay, great. Hi, my name is Sam Potts. I'm a consultant with M&S Engineers. I'm here with Bob Woodward from M6 Consulting, who's a contract city engineer. And yeah, I'm happy to talk about these really cool two projects that are coming up. Do we have a presentation? Got some picture. We got pretty pictures, so yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get the presentation queued up, but as we're doing so, Sam will be providing the presentation, and then we're looking forward to any comments, feedback from council on this. We're very excited about these two projects and presenting them both as they're pretty connected in the corridor. So,
And there's no action that you're asking for today, correct?
correct. Looking to do a presentation and then receive feedback from council. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Potts.
Thank you, Bob. First off, pretty title sheet. So we got two projects in the pipeline. Take a look here at the map. So first we have the Telegraph Road widening and the main Harvard Telegraph roundabout. These are really important because they help connect our downtown core here in Santa Paula with the East Area development. Some project goals, we're going to start with the Telegraph Road project too. So some project goals are to improve mobility. This involves widening Telegraph Road from 2 lanes to 4 lanes, and this is consistent with the city's General Plan 2040. Some other goals include adding sidewalk and bicycle infrastructure. As you can see, the very welcoming pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure currently there. That's me being a little sarcastic. And as part of this, we're looking to design for all ages and abilities. In addition, we're also looking to support existing development plans and activate opportunities for future development. So taking a look first at our proposed cross-section here, we can see that we have 4 lanes, 2 in each direction. We also have a center turning lane where we see opportunities, and you'll see this in, soon, but where we see some opportunities, we can also do some landscape medians where we don't see a lot of turning activity. As part of this goal of all ages and abilities, we're looking to put the bike lane at sidewalk level. We can also see sidewalks on both sides, as well as multiple landscaping opportunities within the cross-section. One of the other big components of this is also going to be looking at the Santa Paula Creek Bridge. This is the existing layout right now. As we can see, there are 4 vehicle lanes. And this is kind of getting a little ahead of myself in the presentation, but as part of the roundabout project, we're going to be merging those 2 lanes to 1 lane. So we'll have a 2-lane configuration instead of a 4-lane configuration. So we wanted to extend this to the Santa Paula Creek Bridge as well. This also gives us an opportunity to use that extra space for protected bike lanes, again, to ensure mobility across the bridge. Now, here's the pretty picture I was talking about, and this is kind of the project overview, and we're going to have the next couple slides are just going to be kind of to walk you through the project in its various components. So first, we have the vehicle lane configuration. As you can kind of see that we're looking from west to east, and we can start at the top and move to the bottom. So first, we can see that we have 1 lane in each direction on Santa Paula Creek Bridge, as well as 2 Ferris Drive there, and then we have 2 lanes in the fully widened configuration there. Next, this is our vehicle configuration. For bicycles, again, we're looking to have the bike lane on sidewalk level as much as possible, which is most of it. That's those solid lines there. And then there are also a few on-street areas, mostly at the bookends of the Telegraph Road winding, and those are shown in those dashed lines there. Next, we're looking to add sidewalks, so that's in yellow there. Additionally, there's currently a bus stop in design for the Red Tail development, so we're looking to perpetuate that, as well as looking for to include a bus stop on the other side, just in case for future. Also, we have a crosswalk there because people need to get across the road, and it's pretty long to walk to either the Halleck intersection or to basically the other side of Santa Paula Creek Bridge. Some other notes here is that there are 2 developments that are currently in various stages. So we have the Red Tail development, that's a multifamily, and that is currently under construction. And then we also have a future commercial development that's currently under staff review. As part of this, in case you tried to do the math earlier, there is a 92-foot cross-section that we have to fit into a 60-foot right-of-way in some areas, so that is going to require some right-of-way acquisition. Part of this also involves, we're trying to avoid existing structure and house impacts, so that's why there's just a slight shift towards that south side. There are many utility poles, and we anticipate impacts to about 20 of them. It's the nature of widening, and we're looking, and basically we have to move them. They're in the middle of the road. In the future road, I should say. So just a general concept here is that we are looking to use the landscape areas between the bike lane and the sidewalk as that preferred utility pole relocation within the cross-section. We've also been alerted from the city engineer that this corridor is a candidate for Rule 20 funds, so there is a possibility to use those funds as an undergrounding alternative too. The preferred relocation would be under the sidewalk. No good project comes without, all good projects have landscaping, as we probably know. So just adding greenery, we have a landscape architect that's working on this, and so this is kind of the shrub palette that they're looking at right now. These species are native and adaptive to the local environment and are all low water use. Most of them are low heights, and that's going to be beneficial for your traffic visibility and sight lines, and they used a variety of color and texture. Similar thing here on the trees, which are based on matching species in the surrounding area, and as well as the city's street tree list. These species do not litter excessively and will provide seasonal color. Lastly, as part of being good stewards to the environment, we're looking to incorporate stormwater areas within the project. This is also going to help with overland drainage. So there's another landscape palette for this, including a hydro seed biofiltration mix, as well as 3 container plants. And these are compatible with irrigated and non-irrigated planting areas. Switching over to our Main Street, Harvard Boulevard, Telegraph Road roundabout. First, we have the project goals for the roundabout, which is to increase operational safety, to enhance pedestrian and bicycle connectivity, and enhance local character. So number one, why roundabout? In case you probably saw, we'll see it again in a moment too, but this isn't your typical four-way T intersection. So a roundabout actually lends itself really well to the complex geometry. Additionally, in terms of traffic, I like to say minimize waiting equals maximize efficiency, and to keep the flow going. So essentially, since you're able to use the roundabout whenever you can, you never have to wait at a red light. Also, with lower speeds comes better safety. Currently, there are speeding problems through the Main Street to the Harvard Boulevard to Telegraph Road corridor, with increased safety and lower speeds, this is going to better enhance usability for pedestrians and bicyclists. City staff has noted to us that there have been requests for crosswalks, and one of the large barriers to implementation has been speed. More pretty pictures, and we're going to kind of do some overlays too, just like on the Telegraph Road side. First is the motorist flow. So just generally, roundabouts work by going in a counterclockwise direction, and as soon as you approach the circular part of the intersection, you yield before entering. If you're able to go ahead. For the motorist flow, I've also done some examples. So this is the through movement between Harvard and Telegraph. Again, you just wait to enter and you go around the circle. An example left turn here from Harvard Boulevard to Main Street. You wait, you go around the circle. One of the unique features of this roundabout is that there are several businesses that actually front it. So as much as maintaining driveway access is a challenge here, in a sense, a roundabout actually solves this problem that a traditional intersection would not. So as an example, and using the Harvard shelter as the specific example, I should probably also note here before I move to the next slide that the blue diamonds are the ones specifically accessing, that access the roundabout directly. So as an example for the Harvard shelter and accessing this from Telegraph Road, you just enter it like any normal driveway, again, just going around the circle, the roundabout. And then to leave, you enter the roundabout. Again, it's a simple yield. For pedestrian flow, there's going to be sidewalks on all sides of the project, and that's going to help increase connectivity with existing facilities as well as compatibility with the Telegraph Road project. One of the other benefits about this is that instead of crossing 4 lanes at once, you only have to cross one at a time. Those splitter islands act as pedestrian refuge areas, and once again, that's increasing pedestrian safety. On the bicycle side of things, using the dash lines as on-street facilities and the solid lines here as off-street facilities, these essentially bicyclists can navigate the roundabout by essentially using the sidewalk. These sidewalks are widened in order to be shared use paths, actually. They're also welcome to use the pedestrian crossings. And if you happen to own a bicycle that's more than $1,000 and you're probably dressed in Lycra, you can always just use the road too. West of Santa Paula Creek Bridge, there's also an additional crossing, and that's going to help, again, trying to be compatible with existing projects on the books. That's going to help connect to the community bike trail project that's going on. Let's see. Some concerns. Yes, there are 4 lanes, and I should say there's 2 lanes in each direction on the Harvard leg and the Telegraph Road leg, and there's only 1 lane going around the roundabout, and that may be of concern. Luckily, these single legs can actually handle about 800 vehicles an hour, and looking at existing traffic data and even projecting into the future, we're only looking at about 300 vehicles per leg per hour. So the roundabout should be more than capable of handling this, and that's reflected in the level of service A designation on our traditional A through F scale of traffic level of service. this is kind of our first presentation to the city. We're also looking to do a public outreach meeting, and that's going to be either later this year or early next year. And then looking even more into the future, we're looking to get the design complete in the middle of next year and hopefully be able to award a construction contract for both of these projects in the late part of next year. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Questions from council members?
Thank you, Mayor. Comment and a question. I actually enjoy roundabouts. I've seen them anywhere in a residential neighborhood for single streets to, I think there's one in Santa Monica that's like 100 yards in diameter. So, I mean, and they do promote the smooth flow of traffic. My question for Mr. Woodward and yourself is, considering that Harvard Boulevard and Telegraph Road are going to go from a 4-lane to a 2-lane in each direction, and the elevation fall from the creek bridge to the area where the roundabout may be, what do you propose as a calming method, whether it be rumble strips or speed bumps or something to slow traffic down?
If I go back quickly. So we call these splitter islands essentially, and they help narrow the road. And they also, we can plant them, we can put trees in them. We also look at sight lines and stuff. One of the nice things about roundabouts is that, and the reason why the city did opt to have an engineering consultant look at this, is that they are the most engineered intersections you can possibly imagine. Now, it's on us as the engineers to be good engineers. I've seen my fair share of not so nice roundabouts, and believe me, I can go on about them, and I will try not to name names. But we do our due diligence in order to make sure that there are proper speed deflections. Additionally, just kind of like when you turn the corner, you probably have to slow down. So we essentially use that methodology and all the physics behind that to make sure that cars can properly slow down. In terms of the actual merging, that's achieved through basic signage. And at the same time, too, most traffic through this is going to be locals. So it's also just adapting to the new intersection configuration.
Thanks.
I'll start with the roundabout since you have it up. First of all, I don't tend to be someone who likes roundabouts. I have famously opposed them in many, many meetings. However, I do find this one intriguing because I hate that intersection. And I do believe there was just this week a really bad accident right at that intersection. I don't know if you learned anything about that, City Manager?
Or our chief?
I didn't get any specifics. I'm looking at the chief to share anything, but it was at least a 2-car accident, and I know there was transports to the hospital, so.
I see the
Yes.
chief coming up behind you.
Okay, go ahead.
It was an injury accident. It wasn't a serious injury. It was an injury accident, and there's someone turning in front of a car that was traveling on the straightaway on there. So, yeah, we've had accidents there. So, but this one wasn't a major injury accident of any sort.
Okay. I know I saw on my little app that there were transports, so I was like, So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
But I do think that this has some potential to make it so that I don't do everything I could possibly do to avoid that intersection. I will only go through it in certain directions, because turning from, if you're coming off Main and you need to get on across Harvard to go on Telegraph, it is an awful intersection.
Believe me, I personally know someone who may have missed the stop sign coming from Telegraph Road to Main Street. I'm not going to name names.
Oh, there's also that.
I don't know. Don't tell the police. But that is one of the great things about roundabouts, is that they increase visibility of the intersection, and in a way, one of the benefits is that they are not a traditional intersection, so people actually have to slow down and recognize and kind of assess the situation, and then as soon as they slow down, you start getting the safety benefits. One of the best benefits of the roundabout is that you actually see a huge decrease in high injury crashes. So, and I'm sure the police chief can also be testament to how much speed is to the detriment of safety. So this kind of kills a lot of birds with one stone.
Well, and this design seems fairly logical how you get out of it. There are some I won't say where, that you get into it and go, I know I need to go that way, and I have no idea where I'm supposed to turn. So
Yes.
I do appreciate that. On the other section, can you go to the other, this section? Can you explain why it would be 2 lanes in each direction with a turn lane as opposed to just 1 lane in each direction with a turn lane?
This is consistent with the city's general plan. This is essentially,
I mean, general
Yes.
plan aside,
Yes.
is this good engineering for that smallest section? I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, I realize that general plan says it will be a 2-lane. I'm just curious whether or not, since that section is so short, is there an engineering benefit to it being 5 lanes plus cars plus pedestrians? Or would you get just as much benefit from it being a turn lane with 2 lanes with the bike and the ped infrastructure? I'm just curious. It's not my area of expertise.
I think part
Apart
of,
from the general plan, I'm just curious.
Yes, yes. It allows for some growth, but that being said, I think we can also work with city staff and look at a 2-lane instead of a 4-lane alternative. And then I think also some of the benefits to doing a 2-lane alternative is that's going to reduce the amount of right-of-way acquisition and probably also give us a little more flexibility in terms of the actual roadway alignment. So I think that's definitely something to explore. Do you want to add anything?
No, like Sam said, we really were trying to model the general plan configuration. But that being said, as you can tell from the lane widths, we were really trying to shoehorn some of the lanes in there. Narrowing the lanes does have a traffic calming benefit, but it would certainly give us a lot more flexibility in terms of what we do with the bike lanes, room we give traffic, and maybe even some additional landscape planners if we look at a 1-lane either direction.
So I guess that would be my feedback would be, if there is a functional reason why we absolutely need that many lanes, that's one thing. If we think that it would be beneficial from having less lanes for both cost and, like, I guess it just, I mean, I don't want it to not be functional, but this just feels like a lot for what, like half a mile, quarter of a mile, 3/4 of a mile?
About half a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that just, because we know it has to go down to 1 lane to go through the roundabout anyway.
Yes.
So does it make sense functionally or not? And y'all are the experts, but I would just appreciate if we could, unless nobody else has that question.
I'll give the perspective because I live in that area. I can tell you how the traffic flows and concerns with, and we're going to have a retail space there. And so I think the logic was you wanted to create as many opportunities for things to flow so it doesn't bog down like it currently does. Because currently, just under 1 lane, you're backed up all the way to the Harvard shelter when people are getting off work between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock. And so I think alleviating this provides options so people can go to the left. And now that we have the sports park, when we have the retail space, the walkable portions, I think it's going to open it up a little bit more so that it provides that flow. That's kind of, I think, the logic behind why the 2, because I think they were forecasting those factors, including the retail space and the number of residents with density that are going into the Red Tail project, and then the park, and then those that are going into the Harvest development to the right.
Yeah, I would think we wouldn't want to underbuild, because the last thing you want to do is figure out, once we're there, if we need more space, what would it would take to expand to extra lanes. So it's worth looking at, but I have a feeling with the growth, the projected growth in the future, we may be happy to have those extra lanes.
I have a community question that came in, so I'm going to ask
Yes.
it.
Actually, if you may, hold off on that. I want to address the second part of your question, Vice Mayor Juarez. I totally forgot the elevation difference. I get to figure that out. So I've done more steep roundabouts, and it's something that we can tackle. Yes.
The question was about the roundabout. Is there any impact to the number of semi-trucks that access off of Harvard?
No. Too many photos. Okay. So I'm going to actually bring up the driveway slide here. So first off, one of the things that we do, one of the first things we did was we actually identified these individual businesses, and we realized that there's the recycling center, the Ventura directional drilling there. All of those are going to have semi-traffic. So we actually did wider driveways to accommodate those. And you'll actually even see there, if you wanted to make a left turn from Harvard Boulevard into the, is there a laser on this actually? Okay, so I'll point here. Oh no, okay. So this driveway here is really the one taking all of the, sorry, I'll leave it there, but all the semi-traffic. So if you look right here, we actually put a little cut through, and then that's going to be just, it's going to be about 2 to 3 inches high. Perfect for trucks, and most people are not going to want to actually cross over that. Again, we want it to be truck-friendly, but not car-friendly. Yes.
They back up there, yeah.
Go ahead. 2 more questions for you, sir. Do you have an elevation sketch of the roundabout?
We don't have an elevation sketch. Right now, this is our 30% design, I believe. So we're going to start going into more detailed engineering design after this meeting.
Okay, so my question is, we have a lot of truck traffic with pretty long-length trailers. Those coming east and westbound, are they going to be able to negotiate that northern part of that traffic circle, or is that orange part sort of the part where the trucks, if they're too long, can run over?
Yes, in engineering speak, we call that the truck apron. I guess that's not even engineering speak, that's just common folk speak. But yeah, we call that the truck apron. Again, it's kind of similar to our little cut through here, that it's about 2 to 3 inches high. It allows the trucks to actually overtrack over that, but then also it's not car friendly, so then we can get those low speeds that are safe speeds.
And my second question is, you don't have designated bike lanes, so with the laws the way they are, is this share of the road, so bicycles will have to traverse the traffic circle as well?
I'll go to this here. So bicyclists do have the option to traverse the traffic circle, but maybe I should also, oops, that was the wrong button. Okay.
I guess you're good.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to click that again. Anyways, these sidewalks are actually about 10 feet wide, and they can accommodate both bicycle and pedestrian traffic, so we call them shared use paths in that sense. So each of these pink arrows here actually show where there's a transition from on-street bicycle facility to that sidewalk shared use path facility.
Okay.
And then back to on the road.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So my other question, back on the other section. First of all, I'll have a comment, because it kind of sounds like folks want to move forward with the multiple lanes. I just wanted to make sure that if that's the direction we're going, we need to be able to explain to the public, this is why they're needed, right? I think that would be an important part of, when you've got your community meetings, you need to be able to say, there is a benefit.
Yes.
And what is it? The other thing is, I want to go back to the Rule 20, I think was mentioned. So I know that we, right now, had been talking about doing that somewhere else, which would have been nice, but I'm wondering, is it too late to change our mind on that and come back to revisit the idea of it being with this project, if we're going to have to move those poles anyway? From a time, because I know that the Caltrans project is already moving forward, so that we're not going to make that time frame working with under that program.
Yeah, correct. And a slight correction to the statements. Council did vote to allocate the Rule 20 funds to 10th Street for 4 locations. That's currently under discussions with Caltrans and the utilities regarding exactly how much work's going to be possible to be done with the money that we have. Preliminary determinations by Edison suggest only one of those locations can actually be converted underground. That's at Santa Paula Street, and that's going to take all of the $1 million plus we have. I believe there is the possibility, if council makes the determination, to potentially vote to reallocate that to a different use based on what we know now from Edison, that we only get one of the 4 locations practically undergrounded. So that could be a further discussion. What's being suggested here is a simple pole relocation, which would be done by the utilities at no cost to the city. Converting underground could also be done, and I would suggest the creation of an underground utility district, which would have the ability for development to pay into that, which would really leverage those funds significantly.
So we wouldn't have to pay to relocate these poles?
That's correct. That would be a standard consideration under our franchise agreement with the utilities, that if we tell them to move out of our way because of a widening project like this, they would do it at no cost to the city.
And that's why,
yeah.
to your point regarding this, I know the council wanted to look at that as a area, but because that area is already developed, this area isn't. So that's why we don't have as many obstacles on this end than we do on the other one, because of the infrastructure that's already in there.
I do recall in that former discussion on this, on the undergrounding, that it was our preference as a lead-in exit from the freeway leading up 10th, that was the priority, but we were actually happy with either one, and that we were just hoping that, one way or the other, that one of those can be done, and I think we gave number one priority to the 10th, but if that was not feasible or workable in a budget, then we'd far benefit by doing the new construction on Telegraph, that would be we'd be happy with that too, so.
All right, well, this is exciting, isn't it? When you see this infrastructure being developed, the whole corridor from Halleck essentially all the way down to where Spirit is. I mean, that's going to revitalize that whole area with sidewalks. People can walk from their new apartment at Redtail, walk downtown, take your bike, because that area right now has some major hazards. And so this is definitely going to be something positive for all the people that live in that community, We have parts of our city that don't have the infrastructure that others do. So this is going to be such a positive thing for the whole community. Yeah.
One more quick question. I hate to ask this question, but it's one thing to have pretty designs. It's another thing to be able to build it. So at what point will we get a sense of how much it's going to cost, how much funding we have available through in lieu fees and other sources, and what the gap is, and whether or not there's any grant funds or other things that we can put together to actually make it come to fruition?
We would likely use all of those. We would leverage developer fees, funds for either federal or state to support this, and what other opportunities we could come up with. There's a bit that's available. I think once we have a preliminary plan and we have a rough order of magnitude cost estimate, we're in a pretty good position to begin pursuing some of those funds.
Do we know, I'm assuming not necessarily, since we are just now getting the designs, but do we know if this project was included in any sustainable community strategy or any other plans through which implementation funding can be secured? Or will this be something that if we're still in this place, when those plans come around again, we need to make sure get in there?
We would need to be sure to get our placeholder in there. I think having some plans and some basis for cost estimates would certainly help us significantly in terms of advancing that effort. So we kind of need to get to this position in the process, gather input, determine exactly what we're going to do geometrically, and then from that point we can move forward with some more detailed estimates and obviously look at those opportunities for funding.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for that report. We're excited about this project.
Thank you, Council.
All right, we're going to move to item 12B, Mobile Home Rent Review Commission compensation. And let's do the public comment first. Chris Gabriel.
Thank you, guys. Chris Gabriel from Cause. Just want to say thanks for bringing this item up. We commend the city for studying the issue of whether the members of the Rent Review Commission should receive some compensation for the service they provide to the city. This is quite a good idea in our opinion. There's another very concrete step related to commission costs that the city could take with respect to the rent commission that would help everyone very much, including homeowners in the city. So we figured we'd share that with folks. And that would be for the city to budget a few dollars to ensure that a court reporter is present at the commission's rent hearings. Here's why that's important in our mind. The city did not have a stenographer at the last hearing, and the city's written rules say that if the commission does not itself ask for a stenographer to be present, then the homeowners have to pay for the stenographer. But there's no way to implement that rule without holding two hearings. The first hearing is for the commission to decide whether to have a stenographer. The commission has to hold a properly noticed Brown Act meeting just to make such a simple decision. And then the matter must be continued to a second hearing so that a stenographer can be hired to transcribe the evidentiary hearing. Think about it. Court reporters are not showing up at rent hearings on the off chance that the commission might decide to hire them. So this means that the homeowners have to pay out of their own pockets to hire a court reporter to show up, and we must request a continuance to get a stenographer. If a second hearing has to be held for this purpose, the city will have to pay all of its staff to show up again, including city attorneys and outside counsel. I'm pretty sure that the city attorneys will tell you that when millions of dollars are being sought by park owners with their rent increase applications, it does actually make some logical sense for the city to have a transcript of the evidentiary hearing in case the matter ends up in court. So I think let's save some taxpayer money and protect the city in the event of future litigation. We hope that you please budget for court reporters to be present at the rent hearing commissions, as well as looking at the issue of reimbursing from a pecuniary standpoint the services of the rent review commissioners. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Who's going to do this presentation? Mr. Mason.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For this item, really what we're bringing before you is just really to discuss and provide some direction on what we should do as far as compensation for the mobile home rent control group committee. The main element in this is that our municipal code identifies the mobile home rent review committee as a body that is to be compensated, but also within our boards and commission section of our municipal code and within the mobile home rent control section of the code, it states that that compensation is to be identified by resolution of council. At this point, we don't have a resolution of council of what that compensation should be or how it should be structured. And the main thing right now, the Planning Commission is one group that does receive compensation, which does require a lot of expertise. A lot of that is on the job training, but it's a very complex area. But also, mobile home rent control is the same thing. There's a lot of legal issues and complexity involved in that, and we're fortunate to have a group that does the research and has a familiarity with what the needs are from the standpoint of our ordinance and what their requirements are. So really what we're looking at is what would be reasonable compensation and what would be the structure for that. And some of the options of that would be based on per meeting, as is done with the Planning Commission, or maybe some type of stipend other than that. But the main thing we would recommend from a staff perspective is to do it by meeting, just because I've been here 9 years, and I look back since 2009, we've had 3 mobile home park rent applications. So if you look at even the last 10 years, we've had approximately 8 meetings in the last 10 years. So it makes a little bit more sense to be able to balance their service based on the meetings that they go to than trying to figure out how to compensate when we don't know how often the meetings will be, very sporadic.
So it looks like your first option here ties to that amount, to that meeting, paid per meeting, right, as a stipend?
Yes, sir.
And you're saying that you want us to make a decision whether it's 50 or 100 or a different structure. How much do you give the Planning Commission?
Currently, it's $50 per meeting.
Does the council have, would like to go with staff recommendation or like to tweak it? Go ahead.
One other thing, pardon me, one thing I did want to mention, again, there needs to be a resolution for what that is, so based on your recommendation, we would come back to council
Okay.
with your recommendation in a resolution.
Ms. Cornejo.
I'd be in favor of a resolution. My question is, how long has it been at $50 that we were paying?
It's been a while. I think
So I
it's
would
been
think
about
just for cost of
15
living
years.
or some sort of equity on that, we probably ought to make it more in the 75 to 100 range and look at planning commission as well at another point. That's another agenda item some other time. But, and I think trying to do mileage or other things take up so much staff time to calculate, that it's just better to have a flat fee, I think. So that would be my thought.
One other, I'm sorry. One other element that's in there, that is it within the ordinance, is if there are additional costs for some reason that they have to participate in something that's over and above that, that's a possibility too, but that would, we take that on a case-by-case basis.
Do we happen to know what year the planning commission stipend was set at $50?
Really good question. I've been trying to find that resolution, have not been able to find it. And to Councilmember Conejo's comment, I think the opportunity would be able to find when that last thing happened and look at cost of living over that time and maybe come up with a
Because I'm
calculation that
guessing,
makes sense.
I'm guessing it could have been set around the same time the first time the councils had been set, which would mean it, I would guess that it probably was dealt with in the 80s, in which case $100 would be a reasonable, maybe even less than reasonable increase since then. So I would be inclined to have this come back as maybe we need, sounds like we might need 2 resolutions to deal with a couple of different committees and have it set at $100 per meeting. I mean, it's a lot of stress and time and study for them to prepare for these meetings, and so.
So right now, the agenda item is just on this issue. So in this issue, you'd like to get more information and recommend potentially at $100 per meeting?
And I also think that we need to look at equity across our committees if we do that.
Just to be clear, is council as a consensus directing staff to come back with 2 resolutions, one for the Mobile Home Rent Review Commission, and then also for Planning Commission? Or are you asking staff also to look at other paid commissions? And I believe it's only Planning Commission. Okay, so just Planning Commission and the Mobile Home Rent Control Commission.
Ms. Cornejo.
I would just say if allowed, because it isn't specifically on the agenda,
Correct.
but if we're allowed to direct resolutions on both, since they're somewhat related to stipends for commission, then that would be what I would wish, unless we have to bring it back. But if we can make that direction at this time, I would prefer to take care of it at once.
Well, we can do the Planning Commission for sure. I'm sorry, the Rent Control Commission. Yeah.
Okay, so we have consensus then. All right.
Mayor, does that mean, or Counselor, does that mean that we have to agendize the other one for a future date, or can that be done just as a resolution presented for approval in the future?
That can, I will let the city manager who
Thank you.
controls our agendas pacing.
As we've been unable to find a resolution setting that salary, it would be appropriate that we return to you with something that memorializes that. So I don't think the council needs to give direction to staff to return to you.
Okay, all right. Thanks. I'm going to go backwards, so let's go to 11. 11A, public hearing, project number 2025 CDP-01, approval of the conditional use permit, design review investing tentative track, map number 614, for a condominium project at 895 Faulkner Road. We are going to start with the public hearing. Verification of posting notice by the city clerk.
Yes, Mayor.
A declaration of any conflicts, if any, from council members or staff. Declaration of ex parte contacts. Seeing none, I open the public hearing. We have staff presenting. All right, welcome.
This one. Yeah, it's the top one, right? Okay. Testing 1, 2, loud enough? Okay. Good evening, Mayor, members of the planning. Sorry, I'm at City Council, I apologize. It's been a while since I've been here. As stated, the project before you this evening is a request for approval of a conditional use permit, design review, and investing tentative tract map number 6114 for a 213 three-story condominium project at 895 Faulkner Road.
Excuse me, Mayor, I apologize. We need to go through verification of posting notice, declaration of conflicts, and ex parte contact.
Ms. Castillo, we did that already.
We just did that.
I'm so sorry.
I know, it feels like a late night. Yes. It's a long day. As indicated in the staff report, this project went before Planning Commission, and they recommended that the council approve as proposed. This following slide shows the zoning of the project site, and it also, for reference, the property to the west is also zoned commercial, and to the north is also commercial. This property abuts the Santa Paula Branch Line Railroad corridors, which is zoned open space park and recreational. Further north, it's also zoned commercial and R1 single family. To the east, the property is zoned R1 single family, which is the neighborhood off of Falcons Road. To the south, we have Faulkner Road and the 126 freeway. Just provided some site photos for context. As you are all familiar, this is the abandoned Kmart that's been closed since 2020. The photo below shows the frontage of the Kmart property along Faulkner Road. These slides show what was the parking lot of Kmart, and it's a view looking north. And this is the current bus stop, which is in dire need of replacement. The following slide shows the layout of the proposed 213 condominiums. There's a total of 38 buildings. Majority of the buildings will have 4 to 8 units. The site has 2 access points off of Faulkner Road. I'm using my pointer. You have one more towards the west, south end, and then the other one at the east, south end that is pretty much perpendicular to the entrance to the 126. An additional emergency access would be at the northeast corner, and this would be just as a fire lane entrance. The project is also conditioned to provide future access to the bike trail. The revised layout, as many of you may know from the staff report, the project had a different design with 207 units, and then they made some changes to provide 213 units, and with that change, the parking became parallel along the roads. Let's see what else. And I believe all of the units would range from 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and 4 bedrooms. The different colors represent the different floor plans and square footage. Oops. This slide shows how the project is in compliance with the development standards for the commercial general zone. For example, the maximum density permitted in the CG zone for a 9.72 acre site would be 281 units. As proposed, they are asking for 213 units. This project meets lot coverage, landscaping, the allowed maximum building height, the front yard setbacks, side yard setbacks, the required parking. So as proposed, they're not asking for any exceptions or any plan development concessions that they would be allowed. This is an example of one of the 7-plex buildings, which shows all of the units to be 3 stories with the 2-car garages on the first floor. The facades include a Spanish Mission style consisting of simple massing with mostly gable end roofs of concrete S-tile or barrel tile. The exterior walls consist of light-colored smooth stucco with a sand finish. Other elements include recessed windows, gable and tile details, some wrought iron detail below some of the windows, which is mostly on the 3rd floor, and decorative shutters. This slide shows 5 of the 6 different floor plans for the 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units. The first floor consists of the 2-car garages, the entrance to the units, with some of the plans having additional area labeled as flex. The main living area, which also includes a deck area, is on the 2nd floor. The 3rd floor consists of the bedrooms, and some floor plans also have a bedroom on the 2nd floor. Apologize for how tiny it is. And for reference, this is what the vesting tentative track map looks like. It's just a lot of numbers. Oh, I went. It's just more detailed than the site plan. It shows all the entrances to the site, the dimensions of the property, and so forth. So as indicated in the staff report, the project is consistent with the city's general plan, the Santa Paula Municipal Code. The project satisfies the required findings to approve the conditional use permit to allow for residential condominiums, as noted in the staff report and resolution. Furthermore, the project meets the required findings for approval of a vesting tentative tract map.
One thing I wanted to address on this, or we wanted to address on this, is that we have requirements from the state for our 6th cycle of the housing element, and in that, this identifies in what specific income areas we're expected to provide entitlement and a path for housing in these areas. So very low income, moderate income, above moderate. So what we provided in this slide is really what this project provides in association to the numbers that we're required to provide within the next now 6 years. So from a low-income perspective, they're required by our inclusionary housing ordinance to either build product on-site or off-site or provide an in-lieu payment for affordable housing. They've adamantly told us that they want to do affordable on-site. So 32 of those units, which is 15%, will be within a 50 to 80% of area median income, which is for us is exciting because we don't have anything right now that's being produced in the city that's a for sale product that provides something within that price range. And then the rest of the 181 units will be basically at market rate, which would be above moderate income. One thing I wanted to mention based on that as an example, when we're talking about low income on a 3-bedroom unit would be within a $400,000 range, and above moderate within a 3-bedroom unit puts us in around a $700,000 range. So it really provides an opportunity for people starting out, seniors or young professionals that probably wouldn't have a chance to buy a house to actually have an opportunity to do that and have ownership. First time in this city for multifamily in 20 years for us to have a product like this.
That's the last time the condominium was built here?
That for sale.
March and Dean. It's right by the railroad tracks. They're white, Spanish style.
Last time the condominiums were built.
2005.
20 years ago. 20 years ago.
20. At this point, we wanted to have Tonio Casciato from Meridian, who provided environmental review and traffic study for this, to discuss some of those elements.
Evening. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Is this on? I'm Tony Locacciato, partner with Meridian Consultants. We assisted staff with complying with everybody's favorite state law, the California Environmental Quality Act. So in this case, wanted to first emphasize complete technical study was done of this project, including air quality, greenhouse gas study that was quantified. We performed a health risk assessment looking at pollutant concentrations from the freeway, make sure they were compatible with the residential use on the site. A noise analysis took into account noise from the freeway. Geotechnical and soil study, phase 1 environmental site assessment to make sure there was no site contamination that would be incompatible with the proposed residential use, and the transportation analysis. What the California Environmental Quality Act says is to the city as the lead agency, go ahead and do your analysis of the project. Then, since this project is consistent with the general plan, compare the impacts to what a use allowed by the general plan would be. If there are no new significant impacts or impacts that are going to be substantially more severe than what the general plan allows, you can document all that in the document you have before you, an addendum to the city's general plan ER. Several sections of the CEQA guidelines that give the city guidance on this. Specifically regarding traffic, we did some trip generation analysis that looked at the retail use that was there and could be there now because that vacant building is available for retail commercial use. So it could be reoccupied at any time compared to what it is. So for everybody who remembers when the Kmart was in operation, a retail commercial use of that size in that building would generate about 3,260 trips a day. There'd be about 71 of those in the morning hour because retail doesn't open until later, and about 295 trips in that afternoon, evening peak hour. The residential project, by comparison, is about 1,600 trips a day. A little higher in the morning peak hour, since people do live there, but only about 35 more AM peak hour trips than you'd have with the commercial use that could occupy that building, and actually a reduction of about 166 trips in the evening peak hour compared to a retail use that could occupy that building or the way that Kmart was. So if this project is built, it'd actually be less traffic volume than what used to be there with Kmart. The retail use was assumed in the city's general plan and considered in all the traffic modeling that showed acceptable level of service on all the streets with the retail use and all the other uses allowed by the city's general plan. So since the city's commercial general zone allows residential, we analyze it in this manner. And while it would be an increase in traffic over the current condition of an empty store, it'll be less traffic than used to be generated there or could be generated if it was reoccupied as a retail use.
Questions for the consultant? Thank you. Mr. Mason?
To keep it short, in conclusion, staff is recommending that council approve resolution number 7568, approving project number 25 CDP-01, which is for a conditional use permit to allow for the development of 213 attached condominiums, design review, and a vested and tentative track map number 6114 at property located at 895 Faulkner Road, subject to the conditions of approval, and adopting an addendum to the 2040 General Plan Final EIR.
Great, thank you. We're going to ask our members of the public to come up for their public comment, and I'm going to start with Gabrielle Vignon.
Are you opening the public hearing?
I'm opening the public hearing.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Gabrielle Vignon. I'm the Executive Director of House Farm Workers. I'm here on behalf of the Santa Paula Affordable Housing Task Force. Our chair, Ellen Brokaw, is a resident of Santa Paula, and she submitted a letter for public comment. She's not able to be here, so I will read it for her. Dear Mayor Chavez and council members Cornejo, Crosswhite, Juarez, and Ornelas, I'm writing you on behalf of the Santa Paula Affordable Housing Task Force to reiterate our support for the Faulkner Road project, number 2025 CDP-01. We support the project because it provides significant, much-needed opportunity for first-time homebuyers and will also provide for-sale units for the missing middle. Between the low-income units being built by primarily nonprofit developers and upper-income units distributed throughout the county, we strongly urge the developer to build the required affordable units on site so that they can be available at the same time as the market rate units. Any other approach would likely result in a significant delay of the creation of the affordable units, and their development may be further constrained by lack of available land. Please take action tonight to adopt resolution number 7568. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on this project. Ellen Brokaw, Chair of the Santa Paula Affordable Housing Task Force.
Thank you. Next up, Dania. Welcome, Daria.
Can you hear me? Yep. Okay. Hello, my name is Zanya, and I have lived in Santa Paula my entire life. I, as many other citizens of Santa Paula, have various concerns regarding the installment of the 213 condominiums and the old Kmart parking location. Currently, there are various developments, projects taking place in Santa Paula. I strongly feel that these projects should be completed before we consider turning this location into additional housing. As the VC Star has reported, Limonera is planning to sell or convert the fields east of Ventura, west of Santa Paula, into more housing, with possible housing being built there, the growing development in Fillmore, and the housing that we still need to complete in the Harvest. Since I just saw in the other clip, there's more housing going on Telegraph Road. So keeping this location open for a business would be in the best interest of Santa Paula. As many people from these locations, the surrounding areas, I'm sure they would be happy for a possibly less crowded store versus going to all the way to Oxnard, as many people do. Let's also not forget that there are many roads and internal maintenance, such as like the lighting, landscaping, and other similar aspects that is severely lacking in the city. Adding additional cars onto these already deteriorating roads would not do well for Santa Paula. Parking is also another concern of many people. The planning personnel for this project did state that they have met the minimum requirement, which is 2 cars per household. But even if half of the households have 1 additional car, so totaling 3, there, from what I remember, will not be enough parking spots. This in turn will cause the people living there to park out on the street. And as many people know, various homeowners, renters use their garage for storage. If most households take up enough space in their garage, that will limit their 2-car space down to 1, causing an even bigger parking situation. This in turn will cause the people living there to park out on the open street. that many people park for the gym that's back there, the dentist, the Quest, the college, and various other businesses. If parking is consistently harder to find, people will naturally want to take their business elsewhere. And in the worst case, these businesses will close. I know traffic is also a big concern. As we already know, there's a lot of bad traffic, and I truly do hope that you, the city council members, thoroughly think this through before making your final decision.
Thank you very much. Okay. I'm going to close the public hearing. Council, discussion and action.
You didn't call me.
Oh, is there another? Oh, apologies for that. One sec.
What's the names?
Jerry Marquez, Carlos Espinosa.
Yeah, this was for 11B. You put 11B, this is.
No, this is for the other. This is for 2025. Yeah, we're directly affected by it.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll get there. It's just, you put the wrong number and then, come on up. We're going to talk to Carlos Espinosa. And then followed by Jerry Marquez. Thank you.
Mayor,
Reopening the
after
public hearing.
reopening the public hearing, and then after the public testimony concludes, you may want to invite the applicant to speak as well.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Now, we live at 187 Falcons Road at the very end. Now, here you're planning to put 213 units in there. You're going to be bringing in 213 cars, or maybe even more, up to 426. So it gets to a point where the congestion there at 330 on Telegraph Road and the freeway, it's congested. You have cars coming into the freeway, and you're going to have the entrance for this project right in the front of that, so you'll need a stoplight there. Right there, right where we're at, trying to get into our street, there's no possibility unless someone is generous enough to let us go through to get into Falcons Road. Now, we're asking that if this goes through, that you put a block just like in front of the fire stations, keep clear. That way we have access to come in and out. Another thing is along Faulkner Road, there's no guardrail and there's no sound wall. If you're going to be doing this, we need a guardrail because we live at the very end. You should hear the cars in the middle of the night, the way they come through, burning rubber, making donuts, what have you, all through there. A car come right through and right in front of our front yard. So we need these things to be put there if this project goes through. Another thing is also the parking. We live on Falcons Road. Now, if these people have their storage or their garages full, where are they going to park? They're going to come down our street, walk around, and go back to the unit. Our street barely holds our cars as it is, and we don't want anybody else to be coming down that street. So we're asking if this goes through, you put a gate in the front where nobody else can get through, because this causes more of a issue. So I'm just asking that you take all this into consideration. You say that he says that the traffic is not that much, that it's going to be less. Go sit there at 3:30 and watch all the cars that come from the people that work. It gets congested very much. So we're asking, really, take this into consideration. Listen to the people of Santa Paula. They need retail stores. They need something here. I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We're followed by Jerry Marquez. Welcome, Jerry.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council. Thank you for having me. My name is Jerry Marquez. I live 2 doors next to my neighbor that just talked. And one thing that he forgot to mention, which some of you know, maybe not, our street is private. So one thing that he mentioned that would be a problem is people getting in our street. And that will create a huge problem because they will be trespassing now. And then we're getting into legal issues. Anyway,
that's something that he forgot, and I just wanted to mention it, that we have a private street. I've been living in Santa Paula for 40 years, 25 of those on Falcons Road. And to my knowledge, this project started in, say, 3 years ago. We didn't know about it until they had the first hearing. They sent us a notice to come to the hearing, which we came, and it got canceled and rescheduled. Here we come again. First hearing, we gave a lot of concerns, which it's so hard to talk in 3 minutes of all of our concerns. So to resume, the main concern was the traffic, security, and privacy. Well, at the end of the day, it looks like our concerns were thrown out of the window. They voted on it. Boom, done. Went home, kind of disappointed. Then we get a notice for a second hearing. We go, oh, okay. Come back for a second hearing, and adding insult to injury, the developer saw the opportunity to add more units because it's so easy to get it approved. There's no one saying, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, let's listen to the neighbors, nothing. So in the second hearing, I got to admit that after they presented the 6 extra units, that did listen to some of my neighbors' concerns, which is traffic, but they never mentioned anything about privacy. They have 6 units that are really close to the wall. The units are 3 stories. Living space is 2nd and 3rd floor. And if you see the pictures that they showed, the pictures have windows that look right into our backyards. Our privacy will be gone. If the developer will really care about us, they will eliminate those 6 units that go along the wall and create more space so we have more privacy in our backyards. And see, this is what I mean. Time runs out, and we don't have enough time to express all of our concerns. We never get, it would be nice if we, as all the residents, get a special meeting to listen to our concerns. Not just come in, vote on it, yeah, let's get it over with. We don't care about the neighbors. It's time for our public officials to actually listen to the residents. On the last hearing, it was an overwhelming majority that was opposing the project. No one is saying anything about it. Nothing. Just going along with it. And I gotta admit, there was one member that voted no on it because he actually saw our concerns. I know, I'm sorry. And this is what I mean, we don't have enough time to talk.
Thank you for sharing your comments, appreciate it. All right, we're going to close the public hearing, and we're going to go into discussion. So,
Applicant.
you want to?
Oh, the staff is going to be able to.
Does the applicant
Have a
wish
rebuttal?
to speak?
Yeah, or a presentation to share?
Good evening, Yuri Gurevich, Heritage Development Group, representative for the project. Sorry. That's okay. Thank you. I think Anna did a great job presenting the project. I don't want to repeat what she just said, but we've been working very closely with city staff for almost 5 years now. We've met several times. We've been working with James and Anna on this project. We've done our best to design a well thought through project. You heard about our all the addendums that we did, all the extra studies that we were asked to do. We completed everything. And yeah, I'm just here to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to begin discussion. Yes, so we'll start with the Vice Mayor. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. No question for you, sir, just comments.
And for the record, the public hearing's closed.
Yes.
Thank you. So having lived in the city for over 60 years, I've seen the increase of traffic and the congestion that we have, and then even just recently, the increased amount of accident on the 126 freeway. Now, I share the concerns of many people of our increasing traffic problem, but it comes because of the price, and that is we want to make affordable housing for people that want first-time ownership. I don't believe that this company or these investors were required to do a traffic mitigation study on the effects of their project on the 126, and I don't know whether or not it would make any difference. But I do want to add that, you know, that property there for a long time has been commercial. And I know a lot of us would like to see commercial in our city, but it's increasingly difficult to obtain that with everything going on. But whenever a person purchases a piece of property, first of all, they have the right to build whatever they want, as long as it's within that zone. And originally this was commercial, then it was zoned residential commercial, and I guess now it can be just residential. So again, it comes down to what the investors want and what's allowed to be achieved there. So on the flip side of that, if this becomes a project that is, as you saw, available to those that are less fortunate for affordable housing or even low income and medium range prices, I mean, what an opportunity for people to be first-time homeowners. The caveat to that would be that if say this project were not to go through, somebody else might come in and put apartments in there. And people would be able to rent, but they wouldn't be able to be first-time homeowners. So we're faced with a difficult decision. Do we progress and let be homeowners? And I know it will impact some people, but look at how many people it will benefit as well. I don't have a question, but just a general comment that I think it's everyone's dream at some time to be a homeowner at some point in their life or their kid's life. And this is an opportunity, but it comes with a cost, and unfortunately that's what it is. And as the gentleman mentioned, the Planning Commission did vote 3 for and 1 against, and I don't recall the exact reasons, but you know, every person who's going to be up here voting has a reason for either approving or denying it, and we'll see what the rest of the council says. But I just want to end with the fact that, I mean, in reality, this could be a big plus for people in our city or people wanting to move to our city. And that's my comment, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Comment from discussion from other council members? Yeah, I have questions too.
All right, I have a handful of questions. My first question was, in the change from 203 units to 213 units, what was the change to the parking around the middle loop there? Or was there not a change, it was just a change to the direction?
So originally, all of the parking was just 90-degree come in, and now it's only a few areas that have just straight in at 90, and they went more parallel. And that allowed for them to go from 207 to 213.
Right, but my question was, in the other design, was there more parking? That's what I'm trying to, or did it change the amount of parking, or did it just change where the buildings were sitting?
I believe it still meets the required parking of guest parking and parking for the units. But the other design had maybe, I believe, like 4 additional parking spots. And they also lost parking spots because of the location of the fire hydrants and other utilities when they looked at it again. And why they went from 207 to 213, that would be a question for the applicant.
I was just trying to.
Can I answer that question?
I was just trying to.
It was about 4, because they had additional, I apologize, I don't have my planning
The
commission.
parking stayed the same.
No, you did have more.
By spaces, yeah, it was maybe 4 on the guest. Overall, I think we just looked at the site again. We felt it was a better layout. We felt it was a better flow to have the parking parallel. We also changed some of those buildings there so that they're actually more set back We have landscaping in between the neighbors' homes and these homes there, so we felt this was a better flowing, better project. Oh, also, we were able to spread the units more evenly throughout the different buildings. Before, they were a little more concentrated.
And then sticking with the parking theme, it was my understanding from the packet that it would be up to the HOA to enforce the condition that people had to park in their garage. Does anyone know how that functionally would work?
Yeah, there would be a CCNR in the HOA that's written that says that you are not allowed to use the parking for storage. It can only be used for parking, and the HOA board would be, in charge of monitoring and issuing violations if you don't comply.
And then could someone, maybe on staff, speak to, it's been brought up a couple of times about apartments versus the condos. Can you speak to the changes in state law and how that impacts what is now allowed on that site?
So based on the zoning and the allowance for residential, they have entitlement, based on our code, based on state law, to be able to build residential. We're here tonight because they want to do, instead of apartments, which they're allowed to do outright, they want to do a for sale product, which changes that. From the standpoint of state law and how that affects that, if they wanted to build apartments, they could build a minimum of 288 units, and if they did a higher level of affordability, they could conceivably go up to 80% above that. So between 350 and 400 units on that site. So this change, they are doing a less dense product than even is allowed, 21 units instead of 29 units per acre, and a for sale product rather than a for rent product.
I want to make sure that we're clear that we understand the dynamics of so were the council to say, no, we don't want this project, them or someone else could come back with a project that was much more dense, that had a lot more units, and that would never come to council.
And that is state law.
I just want to, because of the changes in state law.
Correct.
Can you
The
repeat that
density
again?
bonuses and, yeah.
Can you repeat that piece again?
Right. So with state law and the density bonuses that have recently been passed, if you do, first of all, without density bonus, with state law and our ordinance, they're allowed to build apartments at a higher density than what they're doing now. With state law on top of that, if they did affordability in a apartment project, they could go up to 80% above what they're allowed to build, which again would be between 350 and 400 units on this site.
All right, thank you. Can you explain why this project needs a CUP? Is that our city ordinance issue?
Correct. Our condominium ordinance says that condominiums require conditional use permit, whether it's new or conversion, or I don't recall if industrial also is addressed there. But yes, that's something that, from what I remember as a student back in the 80s, it was very popular for developers to do condominium conversions. So cities created ordinances to be more strict on what amenities they wanted to see. So as indicating your staff report, condominiums also require that they provide certain amenities for their residents. As opposed to an apartment project, it just needs to have a certain common open space, certain amount of square footage. And like we said previously, the last condominium project as an infill project was the condominiums on March and Dean, which was back in 2005. And when I was looking at all our other condominiums to look at their designs, they were pretty much from the 80s and early 90s.
And then it's in an added condition from the Planning Commission that the applicant and staff will do a study session with the residents of Falcons Road. Has that happened yet?
No, the plan is to do it, if approved, that it would be done before issuance of building permits is the plan, so that if anything needs to be addressed, we would discuss it. I think there's been maybe it's not clear that the access that is at the northeast corner, it currently is a fire lane for that site, and there is a gate, and fire would require it to be maintained with the gate and a Knox box. So it would be only for emergency vehicle access.
Right. No, the only reason why I was asking was, my question is, what happens if, because it says, the purpose of the meeting is to address concerns regarding potential impacts to their street, but I'm also wondering, like, there were other potential impacts that were brought up tonight. So what happens if something comes up that you all are like, oh, that would have been a really good, important thing for us to address, and that meeting hasn't happened yet? What happens then?
I've had some preliminary discussions with the applicant, and we talked about how this could potentially roll out, and there's two aspects to that. One is what could be done as far as anything that addresses, view corridors, the relationship of this project to that neighborhood. But the other thing is understanding that this is a development project that's probably going to take 1.5 years to build, maybe 2. But from that standpoint, that's a construction impact that you need to have a relationship with your neighbors reciprocally. So this is going to be an ongoing conversation about what can be done to improve this development as it relates to that neighborhood and the impacts during construction and as it's completed. I hope that helps.
Right, but I guess my question is there any chance that in that meeting with residents, that something could come up that should have been included in here? I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
Okay.
Right, and so that's my only concern, is if this meeting is happening after today, what happens if there's something that you go, oh, I don't know, this wall should have been a little taller, or we should have planted this certain kind of tree, but that's not what's in here?
Thank you for that question. So the landscape plan has to be reviewed. I already know that when looking at the landscaping plan, the developer needs to make sure that the proposed trees in this area provide enough screening, such here and here. I was looking at the staff report, and the setbacks that are, the required setbacks are typically 10 feet. In this area, they're probably about 40 feet. The 25, the 10, and like the 5 planter. So, correct. Based on what I've heard so far, I believe we have answers for it, but if something does come about where we can't come with a resolution between the neighborhood and the applicant, it's something that we would say, well, we need to go back to Planning Commission and see if it's addressed. But it seems like the developer has tried to address everything and keep them in check. I believe there is, like it was stated, construction does take a while, and those, there'll be noise, and construction can't start till a certain hour, and usually they'll stop within a certain time. We have a noise ordinance that addresses that. But can you think of anything potentially that?
I think what the council member is trying to say is that if there's community concerns that arise during the process, how do you mitigate that? So if there's something that's valid concern, what process are you going to take to address those issues? Is there flexibility? Are we just approving it point blank? Like, where's the room for a little negotiation if there's some things of concern that we believe as a council should be addressed?
Mr. Mayor, I can probably answer that because your community development director has the authority to make minor modifications after even council approval is given. Generally, the rule of thumb is as long as that's within a very, kind of minor 5 to 10% range.
So for instance, privacy was what brought up tonight, right?
Right.
the stop sign potentially of how people are going to get out of that space. So there is wiggle room in there if the city makes a determination that some concerns are within justifiable reasons that make sense for the city to have the authority to work with the developer to address those concerns. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That's correct.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to get at. I had heard them bring up, the residents bring up the, could there be a keep clear on the other street, that's by there, just to, as a way to keep, make that safety improvement? Like, is that something we could look at? It's not directly going to be in here, but are there things like that that we could look at and consider? Because there will be impact, whether it's approved tonight or not approved tonight, something will go in there and it will have an impact on those residents. Are there some things that we can do to alleviate some of the things that they're experiencing now, even if those aren't directly related to the project? And so I just want to make sure that during this meeting, this specifically says, potential impacts to the private street caused by the project. I don't want us to hear that as just whether or not people are going to be able to drive on it, right? Like, because from this project, they won't be able to drive on it, but I just want to make sure that that staff would understand that the consensus, I think, from the council would be, to any extent possible, that we work to address concerns. Again, whether it's size of trees, plantings, location, the keeping clear that section in front of the street, some of those things like that, we're open to working with those residents to the extent that we can.
And can I add something? Look, this is not our first project. This company's been in business in Southern California for over 30 years. We have 3 projects under construction right now. We built a master plan community in San Pedro, where we had a Catholic school right next to our project that was pretty significantly impacted. They're now a huge supporter and a fan of the project. We actually, I think, added like 30% population to their school. The father loves us now. We work in communities. We work with neighbors. We work with cities. So, nothing that you guys are saying here it's nothing we haven't done before. We're open to anything and everything within reason, of course.
And then just one last question. Where I saw in the staff report that the bus stop is proposing to be moved. Do we know where that is proposing to be moved yet?
We don't. We've been working with VCTC. Generally, they give us the flexibility of where it can go. But right now, their thoughts are anywhere from along Peck Road all the way to the end of Faulkner. So we're trying to figure out what makes the best sense. The challenge is the buses right now, if you know how they operate, they have to do like a 6-point turn to turn around. So we're trying to work at some opportunity to maybe have a turnaround at the end of Faulkner or something else. But we'll work with both the developer and VCTC to find the best location.
Okay, those are my questions for now.
Go ahead, Councilmember.
Unless others have questions, I have more comments than anything. I'm getting hammered by a lot of people over this one. And there's a lot of concern. I've given some great thought to all the points that have been brought up. And I'll go through some of them. One of them is the fact that it's more people in the city, and so we're going to have to provide additional police department. That's the nature of a city that's growing. It probably means the need for maybe another officer or half to one more officer because of this, because of the growth. My answers to the EIR were answered here. Schools, our schools are jam-packed. We don't have room for more kids. I question that. We've closed 2 schools. The school districts are losing kids because of the cost of living in this region. And if we have affordable homes and homes where families can move in, that could be an actual benefit, I believe, to the school district. Parking, I live in a neighborhood with HOAs. You got to have a really good HOA board to enforce those from people not storing their stuff in garages. That they will have to care about their neighborhood and enforce it in order to make sure that people are actually parking in their garages and not using for storage. This neighborhood looks like it's going to be one for people that are upwardly mobile as opposed to people who are downsizing, which is my neighborhood's problem. We put 2 generations of stuff in our garages. So property taxes will be some benefit, but not a great benefit, because unfortunately we don't get a big percent of our property taxes, and I won't go into that discussion tonight. When I first heard of the project, I was disappointed. We're all about economic development now, and that focus is ours for the city. And when I heard at first it was apartments, I was disappointed. And now learning of the percentages that were at apartments, it could be double the density. That just makes it that much worse. And so I am more convinced now that the home ownership and townhomes for families is a real benefit to our community. It will fill that gap. We have some high-end going in. We have a lot of apartments coming. We need to provide that middle range of properties so that we have, even by the required numbers, not even that, I just believe our community and our city needs that to be a balanced community and give people the opportunity to buy. Our kids and grandkids are having trouble buying anything. They may be in apartments forever. It's very difficult. If this can give a good number of people the chance to buy their first or their second home and gain equity, that is economic development for the people in our community as well as people who are owners. I believe by just watching, even in my own neighborhood, when you own your property, you take care of everything because you want to maintain the value of that property because you're gaining the equity that comes with that. So this has, I also was worried, and now that we've discussed this, about traffic going from Falcons Road into this community, and that looks like it's only emergency access. That is a big concern that I have, that I now understand better that that is emergency access only, and it will be gated. And so that traffic should not be going in and bothering the people on Falcons. I do understand the impact. That's in my district. I know Falcons Road. I've walked it. I've talked to most of the residents there. But I would support this project for the combination of all these reasons, the goods and the bads. Thought long and hard, and I think the benefits outweigh the negatives for our community and our local economy. I wish we had more stores. I wish we had more box stores, or at least retail. We've still got to work on that. But I believe that this is a project that we can support, and it's in my neighborhood. I'm the one who lives the closest to us of all of us, and I do support the project.
All right. Question, comments?
Sorry, hold on. Okay. So I hear the concerns, and I understand, like all of us, the traffic. I live on 12th Street, and that's a very busy street. I get it. I have concerns with the bridge opening over on the east end of town and everything I'm going to face over there, so I understand your concerns. But like other council members are sharing also, the opportunity to be a homeowner. I've never been in a position to be able to be a homeowner. I'd love to. And this means an opportunity for people, whether they already live in Santa Paula or don't. Councilmember Crosswhite brought up, and city staff mentioned, someone else can come in and they can go over 300-400 units, and they don't have to come to us, and they don't have to listen to any concerns, and they could just put the apartments in and we're done. We don't have a say, we don't have a conversation, we don't have a space to talk like we are discussing now. I feel the frustration of not being able to share all of your concerns. I am happy to hear, however, that the applicant is willing to, within reasonable limits, address those concerns of the neighborhood and be able to keep your street the way that it is, or as close to possible as what you have it. I don't think that the purpose of this is to negatively impact your lives. Unfortunately, impacts are going to happen. But being formerly on our school board, I think of our kids, students, and our declining enrollment in our schools and what this could mean for our school district by the students coming not just to all our elementary, middle school, or high schools, but also East Campus. I now have a daughter in college, and how great would it be for us to have that increase in students attending East Campus? That would be a great push for us to continue the conversation of having the college campus actually be built here for us. And to keep our hospital with an increase in the population for our city. And retail, I'd love a Target. I'd love a Walmart. I'd love anything that I could go to buy stuff I need for my girls without having to leave town. And I see Fillmore growing and them getting cool stuff, or, you know, we have to go to Ventura for it. But if we increase our population with an opportunity like this, that at least gives us somewhat of a conversation and a say in what this is going to possibly bring for us, other than the traffic. I get it. I live it every day also. I think that this could be looked at as an opportunity. Another thing that I think about is there's going to be children that live there. So I think of kids that take the bus to school. So that could be a possible conversation with the school district to talk about maybe a bus stop being there for school kids, not just the buses that run from Santa Paula to Ventura. My girls use public transportation, but for the younger age students, that could be a conversation to help with that for that space, and have it be on the Faulkner Road side and not have to go through your neighborhood. I don't know if there's a bus pickup on that side, but have the conversations be to help. I think that's where we're all trying to get, and not cause a problem or problems. I'm hopeful for the possibility of what it could bring for our community. And I do see that, I think we all agree with wanting it to be something positive for Santa Paula. I think those are all my comments. I have a lot of thoughts, but I think that's it for now.
Yeah,
Thank you. One more quick question. So as one of the speakers said, you know, they're concerned, and I understand the draw of having a private dead-end street, Phelps Lane, Lindsay Lane. I mean, it's been your street for you and your neighbors forever. Now there might be other people, especially with the bike path come through. But my question is, and this concerns the Knox Box gate that's going to be on the property. Is that solely for vehicles, or is there going to be pedestrian access from there?
As it's, council members, it stands now, it's solely for vehicle access, but really more from the standpoint of just for emergency.
Okay, yeah, that answered my question. Just because that'll limit the pedestrian traffic going through the VCTC right away and the bike path, other than using the actual entrance of the bike path. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Additional questions? Yeah, go ahead, Councilmember Cressway.
So what is the history of Falcons Road? Do we know why that is a private street?
Carlos might know when he was on the force, but it was annexed into the city. It was county island, and then LAFCO required annexation of county islands, so it was absorbed into the city. Does that help?
I guess I'm just was wondering why that was kept as a private street. Did the residents request that it be kept as a private street, or?
It's no different than we have subdivisions that are private streets. Like, I used to live on a private street, and we all own part of the road, so no one can park there. We have signs, private street, and
do we know if there are currently signs on that street that inform people that it's a private street?
There is one.
All right, I see some head shake. Okay, I just want to make sure that it will be clear in some way
So
that it is a.
those are some of the discussions we can have with the developer about making sure that there's signs on the gate and maybe a little bit more signage as part of that. The strip that connects, basically, the strip that connects to out this area, this is city-owned. The city owns this portion of it. And then Falcon starts somewhere along, then it turns here. Does that make sense? So we own that strip of land. So as part of the improvements with public works requirements, those are some of the discussions we can have with, I wish Bob was still here. He would have been, if we went first. But anyhow, those are great discussion points.
Okay.
Between the residents of Falcons and the developer.
Thank you.
And if I may, I am on the school board, and VCTC already has a bus route that goes to different sections of town. And I believe the superintendent is in discussion with asking VCTC to include also an afternoon pickup so that more students can take I call it a shuttle from each elementary school and to high school as well. So that's a great point to bring up as to, with VCTC actually, about having a route at this location circling to here, which I would believe, well, right now there's no need because there's no residential, but definitely this would be a good point to bring up. So thank you for your comment.
Also, since we're talking about the developer and the neighbors, maybe part of the conversation, if this goes through and it gets to the point where there's going to be people living there, like, I don't know who it was, spoke about the HOA and wanting to care about their community and communicating with the people who live in the space, can maybe include a reminder of the private road that exists next to this new development and remind them that it is a private road. And maybe a conversation about the signs to remind people that it is a private road and that we want to keep it that way could be part of the continuing conversation and things that we could do as a city to be good neighbors.
All right, no further questions? I'll just add my 2 cents on this. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank the members of the community for making the effort to come and be heard. It's important, especially when you're working with a new development, to jot these things down. You know, if this council decides to move forward, you know, you're going to be empowered to go to the next step, but you also have flexibility to listen to some of the concerns, to see what flexibility there is to address those concerns. You know, I get back, you know, I started the morning with the chamber, and we were talking about what we wanted the future to be, right? And one of the things that I come to realize is that, you know, change is hard. You know, we have people that have lived here all their lives. We have people that are coming in, and the community for a very long time was the same. For over 30 years, the population stayed stagnant. While the rest of the world was growing, Santa Paula stayed the same. What happened to our streets, our infrastructure, our businesses? And so it was years ago by other councils that said, you know, we have to do something to infuse new life and opportunity, and that starts with people, and you start with housing. And so we saw what Harvest Development has done in that community to uplift the entire community, but there hasn't been generation of housing inventory of condominiums. And so think about when you were growing up, living with your parents, you got a job, you were finally, maybe you got married and you had a kid, you want to access the American dream. And some people cannot live on the hill. Some people don't start and they can't live at Harvest. Guess what? It took a long time for people to get into home ownership. In this city, if we have not built condominiums in 20 years, we missed a gap, a group of people that are going to have access to that dream. Home ownership, especially, having diversification of housing inventory helps uplift the entire community. Yes, we're going to have million-dollar homes in the hills. Yes, we're going to have single-family residents. We have homes that we have existing that are going to have ADUs. We have affordable housing. What's affordable anymore, right? If you look at what's affordable in Ventura County, what is our average income, right? Our city, 80% of it, close to 80%, if I'm not mistaken, goes somewhere else for a job because we don't have any jobs here. So guess what? I live on that part of the town. There's been so much development on that part of town, and yes, the neighbors are upset that, you know, I have to wait in line to 20, 30 minutes. You know, I grew up in LA, 20, 30 minutes to suffer to be able to come home and be at peace because you're out of the madness is something that I'm willing to suffer for. However, there's change happening to make the streets better. For instance, the 126 corridor is getting greater access, the cameras, the lights. You know, there's going to be access. We saw this evening, the new road that's going to connect with 2 lanes on each side. But there isn't anything on the west end. And so this is going to be an opportunity to uplift that area because right now, unfortunately, we can't attract big box businesses. Why? Because we don't have the population. So we're caught in this catch-22. You either have it, you don't. So we're growing in population. As we're growing, we're going to be able to attract larger businesses, and we're going to be able to create more jobs. But we need spaces, especially for home ownership. When you own a home, you take much more pride when you own something versus you're renting it. And so that piece for this, for me, is like, oh my God, affordability for a couple starting out their life, to be able to start here after they get out of their parents' house, and then later on move to Harvest because, you know, they grow their family, and yes, they're gonna have to suffer with parking a little bit, but then at some point, that changes. And so I think it's important for us to remember that change is hard, but is it worth what we're getting in return? For me, the home ownership piece for this, you look at can you scroll, Mr. Mason, or to the chart regarding the affordability and those ranges that exist? Here we go. This tells you a lot, that the affordability of condominiums here is going to be able to get folks that are in the middle, right? We talk about a shrinking middle class. Well, guess what? The middle class, this is what we're talking about. So having more inventory on that over 120 AMI is going to be critical because of the affordability factor for many families. A lot of people cannot get into the lower income communities because they make too much. So it's kind of like the Goldilocks thing, right? This gives us an opportunity to get something, an additional housing inventory that we don't have. And so I like to, I've heard the comments, it's really important that, again, Mr. Mason, you're going to be empowered to listen to what the residents are saying. And I'm hoping that when you start doing those public forums, that it's important to acknowledge those things and see what can be done to address or mitigate that. But overall, I think it's time for us to move forward with this. Any other comments? All right, so what is on the table today? Is this a request for an approval? All right. Is there a council member that's interested in proceeding with the motion?
I will, Mayor.
Mr. Juarez.
I appreciate all the comments, the concerns that the public has, but as I mentioned earlier, I believe this is a good thing for people that want home ownership. And with that, I'd move to adopt City Council Resolution Number 7568, approving project number 25-CDP-01, a conditional use permit to allow for the development of 213 attached condominiums, design, review, investing, tentative, track map number 6114, at the property located at 895 Faulkner Road, subject to the conditions of approval and adopting an addendum to the 2040 General Plan Final EIR.
All right, there's a motion.
I'll second.
There's a second. Any further discussion, last comments or thoughts? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? All right, vote by consensus. Motion carries. Moving along to item 11B. Project number 20. Project 25C1, an ordinance amending chapters, swimming pools, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Who's leading this in this discussion?
I will.
All right, thank you very much. You can ask a staff member, but not the council at the moment. We're already on another item. Thank you. So our Director of Community Development, he'll have some answers for you. Yeah, thank you. All right, Ms. Castillo.
Yes, Madam Clerk, would you mind putting up the PowerPoint, please?
Me too, I need water.
Yes, please. Thank you. Yes, actually, yes.
Recess for 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Are you holding? All right, we're back in session. Ms. Castillo.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And for the record, is there any public comment on this item? No public comment.
Ms. Latshaw, is there any public comment on this item?
I had 3, but I think they actually all spoke on A. So
Okay.
I don't have any other
All right.
additional. It was all
All right.
different.
So
Okay.
11B.
So this is the Development Code Update number 6. You've seen 5 of these so far, so I'm going to skip through the history of where we've been.
Do we have to?
So Development Code Update number 6. This is amendments to Chapter 16.52 through 16.110. And at this point of our municipal code update in our development code, the strategy is at this point to renumber our development code from this point forward. And so today's presentation is really largely about renumbering and updating our internal references to this range of development code chapters. So really quickly, like I said, it was renumbered. Internal code references were updated, and we changed replacing planning director with director. We did catch some areas that the staff wanted to amend at the moment, in addition to simply the renumbering under Chapter 1658. We have the alcohol sales enforcement agreement now being approved by the director and police chief rather than coming to council. For vending machines, instead of requiring a conditional use permit, these will now require a use permit, so it doesn't have to go through the lengthy CUP process. And another section was added to vending machines that any vending machine located within a completely enclosed building which serves customers outside of that building, for example, water stores, will require a permit approved by the director.
Go back.
before you move on, can you explain that one?
Yes, so I asked staff what they meant by this, and it looks like this. So there's a vending machine that, I guess, in these specialized water stores are embedded into the walls, exterior walls of these stores. So customers do not have to go inside. They are serviced from that exterior of the store.
So I think what's confusing for me is it says it makes it sound like it's inside the store instead of like in the wall of the store. Right, because there's nothing from the, because it's this completely enclosed building.
Which serves customers outside of that building.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the confusing part.
Because it's
when I first read it, I
from
thought
the
it meant
street.
people that are
Outside
coming
meaning
in
from the
outside.
street. Right, that's what I was confused about. I'm like, does that mean, it's I don't know, like, I don't know if there's a way to clarify that language so that it says the exact same thing, but in a way that, because without the picture, that
Maybe-
doesn't make any sense.
Maybe instead of using the word outside, something like the building's exterior.
Which serves customers from the building's
When
exterior.
you're saying located within and then you're saying outside, it makes it sound like people coming from
Right,
the
coming
outside or
from
going in.
outside, like it's inside of a grocery store, and you're coming into the grocery store from
the
outside the
outside.
grocery store to purchase something that is not of the grocery store. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will change that should council want to proceed to a second reading, that will return to you with some edits, since it doesn't change the substance, correct?
So just for clarification, basically, the language regarding the director was just universally put across the board, right? Because it used to have a different title.
Yes, so let me see. I have.
And it says director, and that, there's a, I guess, is there a,
So what happened earlier in one of your first meetings, when you adopted a section of the development code that gives definitions of all terms across Title 16? And when I say Title 16, that's all of the development code. So whenever a reference is made to director in the ordinance you see going forward, that will refer to the Community and Economic Development Director or successor title given to that position. All right. The next proposed amendment is that under the electrical vehicle charging stations, it was added that these charging stations shall be equipped with lighting sufficient to provide visibility for users at night and maintain a safe and secure environment, and that the lighting shall be of color and intensity so as to minimize shadows, glare, and impacts of neighboring properties. The next amendment is under our subdivision regulations, and it added language to clarify that a parcel map will not require city council approval if there is no dedication or offer of dedication required by that parcel map. And for some clarification, I looked at the ordinance again, and it appears that the cannabis ordinance does not reflect what was most recently adopted by council earlier this year. So that will be submitted to our publisher with the correct ordinance. That ordinance updated our regulations so that it allows delivery only non-storefront medicinal cannabis retailers in industrial zone and delivery of medicinal cannabis to patients and caregivers within the city. So that will be the version that comes to you at adoption should you choose to move forward. And the cannabis and industrial hemp cultivation chapters, those are going to be part of the list of public workshops that will be held to receive community The next set of chapters that you'll see are, again, mostly technical renumbering of the remaining chapters in our development code. And in the near future, we hope to bring the sign code and inclusionary housing ordinance to Planning Commission, so that you will see that in the next few meetings. And that concludes my presentation. If there are any questions, please let me know.
That was less than 10 minutes. We don't have to do anything, right? Oh, waive the,
I have a couple of questions.
oh, go ahead.
All right, in section 16.27, where it talks about amusement arcades, are those, does anyone know why there is a prohibition on those being within 200 feet of a variety of locations? Like, are amusement arcades particularly salacious? It seemed like an old, literally here it says, no arcade will be permitted within 200 feet of a school, church, hospital, convalescent hospital, retirement home, residence, or public playground. I just wasn't sure what an amusement arcade was and what the.
Councilmember Crosswhite, I've been a planner for Santa Paula, let's see, my son is 27, so like 28 and a half years, and it's been written that way. We had one project in the downtown, I don't know if Councilmember Cornejo remembers, but it was basically, they wanted to do video games, and it was a big deal for some of the community members that kids would be hanging out, creating issues, so it was a discretionary approval, and that was the mindset. That was probably 20 years ago, so
That's
I
because
mean,
they used to
and
have
now we want our
cards.
and now we want our students, to be, come out, be more social, after COVID. So thank you for bringing that up. But that's just from what I recall.
It just seems a little.
Yes.
From a bygone era where if you had, arcade games, it was going to
It
run.
would corrupt the mind.
At this point, I'm like, you might be better off doing arcade games than being on social media.
You could socialize.
Video games
Yeah.
would be a lot better than social media and isolation.
Hey, what as you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Question for Mr. Royal. So this is right there on Main Street, and I forget the gentleman that owned the video store and the arcade and stuff, but it was really close to the pool hall and the bars.
Now it's a restaurant. We don't have any more
Right, no, but
buildings.
at the time, it was a pool hall and then bars nearby, and so maybe that was the reason, but actually, I remember the kids just having a great time, and it was safe, and he was a great guy.
It also allowed parents to go to the restaurants and let their kids play, for an hour or so, but it was a nice setup. I think my kids were too small back
I
then.
think a large part of our whole municipal code overhaul was to eliminate relic, codes that just don't have any contemporary application, like the alcohol signs that you did a few years ago. And so if it's the council's desire, we will be looking at this as.
I should have added that this will come back to you for substantive changes once Planning Commission takes a closer look, other than the renumbering that was approved and recommended at the last
So Planning
commission meeting.
only did the numbering.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's something that they could
Yes.
look at,
So-
is
Yeah.
whether or not the planning commission wants to look at that section?
Yes.
Okay. So then I will just ask one other question for the planning commission to look at, or you all to look at. I had a couple of others, but if they are going to look more substantively at it first, then I won't do all of that tonight. But I did have a question on the news racks section, because we are very out of compliance with that section of the code. So I don't know if that's a section that we're looking at revisiting, one, given that nobody at this point that I know of is using news racks. But we also have a bunch that, it says in there, they're not to be empty for more than 30 days, or it triggers proceedings. And we still have empty news racks that have been there for years all around town.
Yep. So this was a chapter that our code team asked, do you just want to strike this whole section because who uses news racks anymore? But there are still news racks in use, so we kept that in. And if Anna has some experience with those news racks ordinances, then I'm sure she can provide insight since she has performed the process of taking down and removing these news racks.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't remember the year because I did not look at the file. I thought if there was interest, then I would go look for the file. But I was the planner designated to assist in the public right-of-way abandonment of news racks that were being used. It was actually not a bad process. Most of them, we were able to find a contact information in the newspaper, called them up saying, hey, we have this ordinance. It seems like they've been abandoned. Are you going to keep them? Can you remove them? If not, we have to go through abatement process. I believe that's what it's called in the ordinance. So majority of them said, oh yeah, we'll get it, we'll remove them within 30 days. So we worked with those. The ones who didn't respond, we had to go through, and I do remember printing out the notices and taping them, taking a photo of them. Public Works staff, the streets, they helped. I probably had them take photos for me because I just wasn't able to just go through the entire town. Since they were always on the streets, they provided some of the assistance. And then I believe we had maybe like 2 people apply to keep them. And after that, since it's in the public right-of-way, it hadn't been brought up to planning's attention. It may have been brought up to streets. We haven't gone through the process again to have them removed.
Well,
So-
it was recently a whole thread on social media that there are at least a couple of them that are still out there, and they're definitely not being used. So, I guess,
So what's the next question on that?
Yeah, so maybe future, we can have streets let us know, and we can move forward with that.
and then in section 16.42 definitions, it says director means the director or designee. So if that is defined somewhere else, does that not need to be in the definitions? 'Cause-
Yeah, we'll strike that since it's defined elsewhere.
Okay. So, all right, I guess I'm glad then to hear that the Planning Commission will be going through this. The only other thing that I'll say is as they do that, there's various, lot splits and things that are in here. So if there's any of the changes of state law that impact those, I would just ask that you all work with Planning Commission to make sure that anything that no longer comes to us by statute, that if that's fixed in there.
So we'll do.
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to go back to 2 subjects. Sorry. The news rack. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's really a whole lot of use for news racks. However, there are some cities that put their tourist maps or their dining guides on, corners on what looks like a news rack or book rack. So it's conceivable that we could someday, in our wayfinding, in our signage, have a specific dispenser for tourist guides or dining guides. So I don't know that we should, eliminating the news rack title, but I guess to come back with something would require an ordinance for a distribution rack of public information for the city, if we should do that someday.
Is that something that you think that is
I mean, it's somewhat conceivable.
viable
If you go to,
time with this sucker here?
well, I know, but yeah.
As we review some of these, the content of some of these, we can look at, what other cities and more recent municipal code updates have suggested. I'm sure this is not a unique thing to Santa Paula. News racks are just a thing of the past. But to your point, there might be guidelines, especially for the use of public space, because that's where news racks gets tricky because they're put on sidewalks and public areas.
Public right-of-ways.
Right. So,
And the second question is, we have that Nanny and Dita's Toy Store, right? And they opened up that activity center where you can go play games. And I'd hate for them to be prohibited from putting a video game in there because it's right across is a bar or next door is a legitimate massage parlor, So I think we need to be careful not to totally eliminate the vending machine or the arcade games.
Arcades, yeah.
So that's it. Thank you.
One other thing that I noticed in 16.43 section C, it's under the section if things are being converted, and there is a mention of in the case of the conversion of mobile home parks to any other use. And so I just want to make sure, I flagged that as we have the mobile home conversation. That might be a section that should be part of that conversation since it specifically references mobile homes.
So conversion of mobile home parks to be part of the broader mobile home.
Well, no, so this was, this was what happens if there's the conversion of a mobile home. Well, it goes through different scenarios where something is converted to condominiums. And so because this relates to mobile homes and we're going to have a study session on mobile homes, I wondered if that part of the code should be part of the mobile home study session.
Correct.
That was what I was, so I just want to make sure, because it's in a different section of the code. I just flagged it as we should make sure that that's discussed when we're discussing mobile homes, since that particular piece referred to mobile homes.
For the public workshop.
Yes.
We plan to have. Correct. Yes.
We're good?
All right.
All right.
We may move forward.
Much. Woo, we are going to Ina.
Oh, wait, do we have to adopt?
this is a public hearing, so.
Okay, open the public hearing. Is there any public testimony?
None.
Close the public hearing. All right. And is there a motion to waive the first reading?
Who wants to read this title?
The whole thing?
Yes.
Fine.
Can't you just say that, what's listed?
No.
No.
Refer to number
The
2.
alternative is to read the 60-page ordinance.
Okay, so this whole thing under number 2?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to waive the first reading by title only and introduce ordinance number 1348 entitled, "An Ordinance Amending Chapter 16.52 Swimming Pools, 16.56 Amusement Arcades, 16.58 Alcoholic Beverage Sales, 16.60 Child Daycare Facilities, 16.62 Assembly Halls, 16.64 Community Care Facilities, 16.66 Drive-Through Facilities, 16.68 News Racks, 16.70 Recycling Facilities, 16.72 Service Stations, 16.74 Vending Machines, 16.75 Prohibition on Industrial Hemp Cultivation, 16.76 Yard and Garage Sales, 16.77 Electric Vehicle Charging Systems, Streamlined Permitting, 16.78 Emergency Shelters, 16.79 Regulation of Cannabis Activities, 16.80 Subdivision Regulation, 16.85 Condominiums and Conversions, 16.96 Grading Permits, 16.97 Grading Regulation, 16.98 Hillside Grading Practices, 16.99 Drainage, Erosion and Dust Control, 16.100 General Provisions, 16.102 Permit and Reclamation Plan, 16.104 Regulations for Operation of Surface Mine, 16.106 Growth Management, 16.108 Transportation Demand Management, and 16.110 Nonconformities of the Santa Paula Municipal Code in order to correct inconsistencies, outdated language and formatting, and finding the action to be statutorily exempt for CEQA under Section 15061B3 of the Public Resources Code.
And what about this thing?
That was a motion.
And I'll second that.
I already.
There's a motion,
I already
there's a
made it
second.
In part of that.
Can you repeat that? Can you repeat the motion?
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Great, motion carries. We are moving, we're going back in time. We are going to item consent calendar 10. Is anybody asking to pull any item on the consent calendar?
Hold on, there's an edit. There's 2 edits that need to be made to item 10G. I don't know, City Attorney, if you want to read those into the record, or if you have the numbers in front of you, I have them.
Yes, if you want to read those into the record, if you have them.
Section 14 and Section 35 of the lease agreement with Mendocino Railway are 14 and 35 are the exact same thing, and the insurance information was printed twice. And then 19 and 33, the assignment and subletting was also printed twice. So I don't know if you found any other ones, or just the 2 that I.
Those are the only duplicate sections I found.
So somehow those ended up in there twice. So as we approve this, just making sure that those are edited. And then, City Manager, did you find out on the minutes from June 18th whether or not those were going to be needed descriptions?
Yes, Councilmember Cross-White. All of the minutes only show just the title when those go onto the agenda, unless there's a vote on each single one, then it will show the actual recommendations that were applied to that as well. But all of them will only have just the title unless it does have an actual vote individually on the consent items. The other items, like action items where you do vote on it, of course, the motion is voting on what the recommendation or the vote actually was. The agenda shows that, but the minutes do not, and that's automatically built into the Granicus system. It comes up that way.
Okay, because it was weird, because the other ones described what they were, but that particular set of minutes, it didn't show it, so I didn't know if it was supposed to be there.
I believe it because it was under a consent item, and then sometimes when you pull a consent item and vote on it separately, you have discussion and vote on it separately, it will then show an actual motion under that one consent item.
So you're asking that we potentially maybe pull the item?
Oh, well, she said that they're fine, so.
They're okay?
They are correct.
So it's just the edits then to 10G.
Cool.
And I believe you have a representative here from Mendocino Railway that's been patiently in the audience, just making sure that if there's any questions about that item,
What item is he
it gets
for?
pulled.
I was wondering why you're hanging out with us.
So that's item 10G, right? Okay. Would you like an opportunity to come up and share any or answer any questions?
Yeah. Do you have any questions from us?
If I want to be lazy and not pedal, will that, well, no, this is legitimate. Will that battery carry me all the way to the stop and back to town?
It will, yes.
All right. Thank you.
How far does it go past, how far do you go past Prancer's Farm?
At the moment, we go up to, about halfway up to Fillmore, at Sycamore Road. And then once the Sespe Creek Bridge receives its repairs, our hope is to go just into the city of Fillmore.
That's awesome.
Actually, Mayor, I do have a very serious question. I have a friend of mine who's disabled, and I've asked him several times if he'd like to go with me. And he said, you know, I'd hate to get way out there in the middle of nowhere and something happened to me medically. I don't know if they have a contingency plan to get me out of there if something should happen. Could you share if you actually have some, so I can convince him to go with me, that you have some kind of contingency plan being out in the middle of the orchards?
Absolutely. So we put our staff through basic training. They are instructed on what to do in a emergency situation, something like that. Should somebody be, let's say, stung by a bee and need medical assistance? Should somebody have a heart attack at random? Part of the training is to get them to the nearest railroad crossing if possible. If not, a staff member will get to the nearest railroad crossing and to flag down emergency services and then direct them to the location that we need them.
All right, well, that's comforting to know. Thank you very much.
Very welcome.
I do have a question. Just because I live near it near the tracks. Is there a reason why they come down and just stay going down on the weekends? Like for like a long period of time, just ringing? Is that something that you guys take care of?
When we go over the railroad crossing, the gates do come down.
Right,
We'll
and then
proceed
the-
across, and then the gates come right back up.
Right, but what about when they seem to get stuck down? Is that something that you guys address, or is that somebody else?
So the railroad itself is leased to Sierra Northern Railway, which is our sister company. They are in charge of the track maintenance as well as the signal maintenance. So that would be on their part. We just operate the rail bikes and eventually the train.
Okay. If there were an issue with them staying on, would they be the ones for a community member to contact, or would it just be like the non-emergency?
Yes, so if you
Right?
come across a railroad crossing
just wanna get that.
and it's down and there's no trains or we're not around, there is a blue card that's attached to each of those signals with a phone number to call. And from there, you can give the information to them and they'll get in contact with the railroad to get somebody
Perfect.
out.
Thank you for sharing that. I just wanted the public to hear that, because the only thing I thought of doing was calling the non-emergency number, but for other people, it's good for them to understand, so thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, just 2 seconds, since he's up here and we're talking about the item, not pulling it, because I don't think we need to do that. But could you just tell the public what this is about in like 2 sentences?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So the city is the owner of the historic train depot, and for some time, the Chamber of Commerce has been in there on the ground floor. Second story has been mostly used for storage. And as Northern Sierra and Mendocino are expanding their operations, and I think once the bridge over to Fillmore is built, hoping to even restore tourist trains as well as commercial uses, they have the need for more office space. So they've asked to lease the entire downstairs, and this agreement provides for that. The city would be compensated. They would also pay the utilities for the building. We would still have access to the larger room in the back, as well as the opportunity to decorate the outside. We're still the owners of the building, and the chamber has been relocated onto Main Street, which is also an appropriate place for them, and they're paying for that space. So it's kind of a win-win opportunity to support this tourist-based use and support the railway system.
So the train station will be used as a train station.
The train depot will actually be a train station, right?
Awesome.
You're welcome.
All right, well, thank you for being here
Yeah, thanks for your patience.
at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so is there a motion to approve
I would-
consent?
I would move approval of the consent calendar items Tay Adam through 10G George with the edits to 10G, which were the duplication of 2 lines, and I believe they'll just be removed. Okay.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Thank you, consent calendar. Thank you, Wes.
Thank you, Wesley.
All right, city managers report.
I'm
Well,
good.
I'm going backwards, I'm back in time.
He's done, he's good.
I'm
He
good.
said so.
Yeah, I'm good too.
Oh, actually, I did want to just point out that the emergency work on Mill Street is complete now and was done very smoothly, and so just wanted to report that out.
Great. We're going to start with Ms. Ornelas.
The Labor Day parade was fun.
Now that happened already.
Then, just kidding. I don't think I have anything to report. I just want to say thank you to.
You do
Yes,
have
ma'am?
one thing.
Yes, what?
We had an ad hoc committee.
I'm just kidding. We did have our first ad hoc meeting. Thank you. I'm tired. It was a good first meeting. There is work to do. I'm very grateful that as a council, we passed to have the ad hoc committee. And it was good to hear people come today, community members come today and share what they'd like to see and what their concerns are or needs, wanting to see coming from the committee. So I am looking forward to having those conversations or listening sessions, as I think we feel they're going to be, for everyone to share with us whatever it is that they've been living and experiencing in our community. And I'm looking forward to the work that we're going to do on the committee. Nothing is always easy, but I think that our intentions are good. And I look forward to continuing to support our community and the needs that we're facing with everything around immigration and everyone's fears and concerns leaving their house every day. Simple things like going to get your groceries, to getting something to eat. I heard the concerns about the activity that there has been lately, and my girls walk home, and I worry about those things all the time. So I'm glad we have the committee, and I'm looking forward to doing the work. I don't think there's anything else I did. I think we're all tired and done today. That's it for me.
All right, Vice Mayor.
I'm going to go through my report backwards, since we're going backwards. Today, myself and council members and Jay Mason and the city manager went to the Limoneira Directors Lunch at noon, and there was a correction of the speaker who said that Limoneira is building property between Ventura and Santa Paula. Actually, the parcel of 220 acres is located north of Telegraph, east of Victoria, and west of Kimball. So it's an island in the middle of Ventura, and it's not like coming up to our border. So I didn't want to call her out, but yeah, it's in Ventura, which means it's going to have to go through a big process with SOAR and everything else. So, but that was a good presentation we had today. The mayor and myself went over in a closed session about an upcoming employee survey that's going to happen with the city and trying to find a consultant. That was on the 15th, and also the mayor and I met with the mobile home rent control and trying to figure out when's a good date for a workshop. I think we had a special meeting on September 8th, the council did, 8 in the morning. Myself and Councilmember Crosswhite went to the Santa Paula Unified School District Building and Construction Academy on Saturday the 6th, and that's really great because when I was in school, they had industrial arts, right? Printing, wood shop, auto shop, and it went away, and now they have technology that's going to teach them skills that can get them jobs to earn a great living wage and learn construction skills. I think I told you the other night that I went to cruise night, and not only that, but the band I'm in performed, and it was fun. And then on every first Thursday of the month, the Senior Advisory Committee, and just to remind folks that we have one position open. There's a lot of things to do at the community center, at the senior center. They have they deliver meals. They have activities for seniors on a daily basis out there, and they have the senior lunch once a month, and they do field trips. So if you're a senior, it's a great place to go and meet up with other folks and do some fun things, and that's my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Cornejo.
Thank you, Mayor. I missed the last meeting. I was out of state with my business. So some of these are a bit old that I'd be reporting since I wasn't here the last. So I will make them brief and just want to make another statement. A lot of it was involving PBID, the Property Business Improvement District. We had a strategic planning meeting that went very well and was pretty forceful. I think everybody's anxious to get rolling on some projects and make some things happen for the downtown district. Attended the Yara graduation, which is inspiring to see these young people, and they all, nobody dropped out. They all finished in the program and with some great rewards and positive futures for their potential work that they can do, having been through that program that's sponsored through our city, and attended the mural dedication at the community center, which was just an amazing event and wonderful to see the people that were the murals were painted pictures of them. The actual people were in attendance, and that was very special. I missed, maybe for the 3 people that are still listening at this hour, I wanted to mention that for National Hispanic Heritage Month, that my family, my husband is an immigrant from Chile. Tomorrow is their Fiestas Patrias. So our family will be doing empanadas and asado and all of that this weekend. And my husband, Enrique, has been in this country for 57 years now. Living and working and with kids and grandkids and he retired a couple weeks ago. And that's from serving our community for 37 years. I've had people come in and tell me, you know, this Don Enrique was respectful, kind, and funny at any given time, and everyone appreciated working with him. And I just wanted to mention, you know, he never asked for attention, but he has served this community in both languages, English and Spanish, and treated everyone well, and done his best for helping people in this community. And I just want to give him a shout out today, too. Thanks.
Ms. Crosswhite.
All right. So Councilmember Juarez already mentioned the Limoneira Directors Field Day. One thing I'll add to that is that if you haven't heard, they now have a new partnership with Sunkist, or a renewed partnership with Sunkist. So their lemons will be being manufactured or being sold under the Sunkist brand again, as they were in the past. The Santa Paula Unified School District Building and Trades grand opening was great. The city got a shout out at the Housing Trust Fund of Ventura County's dinner, because it was just a couple of days after we allocated the funds from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So everyone clapped for you all, so just wanted to let you know that. I had a State Route 126 safety improvements meeting with VCTC, SCAG, Fillmore, Caltrans, CHP. Caltrans is going to be doing some study between now and November on that corridor, just given the renewed interest in safety improvements, to see if there are any safety improvements that can be made to hopefully reduce some of the number of accidents. I had 3 SCAG meetings since our last meeting, the Southern California Association of Governments. The highlights are we had a very in-depth discussion about the Olympics. And just a reminder, they're asking cities to consider, or going in with a neighboring city and doing something, but to consider being remote watch sites. They're going to have live site in a box kits. Like, basically, you sign up that you want to do it, and they'll say, here's everything you need, the branding, the whatever. You will be then responsible for your public safety, your, you know, that kind of thing. But they are offering that if folks are interested. So if that's something that we would be interested, or, you know, that I'm just putting it out there. I want to make sure that we know that that is something that we could think about doing, or partnering with the chamber or a business or something and doing as an economic development, like, hey, you know, you don't have to go all the way down to LA. You can come here and watch, you know, whether you live in Fillmore or Ventura, like, come, we're going to set up a little remote site and you can watch. So anyway, something to think about, whether or not we would be interested in doing an Olympics sort of pop-up watch site kind of a thing. And some people are doing, in some cities, they're doing, you know, cultural things with it. So in addition to, you know, being able to, like, say, watch some games and stuff, you would also then be able to, you know, have some Baile Folklorico while, you know, the performers from Mexico are playing, or, you know, whatever. So just something to think about. Then at our legislative committee meeting, there was talk about the fact that they might need to have, the state legislature might need to have a special session on the budget, especially related to healthcare. Because even though they passed a budget, there's a lot of uncertainty, especially with changes at the federal level, around the impacts that's going to have on the state budget's healthcare system or insurance program. So they may have to go back into special session on that in particular. The Cap and Invest, as they're calling it now, is on the governor's desk for signature. One major change that they made to that is, in the past, it was based on percentages. This time, they have fixed amounts for tiers 1 and for tiers 2, which include the high-speed train and CAL FIRE. And tier 3 includes a lot of the things that we would care about, like the local transit dollars that already exist. And tier 3 will only get funded once the set dollars amount for tier 1 and tier 2 are funded. So there's some potential that could have impacts on VCTC and our local transit. It sort of remains to be seen how that's all going to shape out depending on state revenues. The Clean Power Alliance Board voted to extend invitations to 2 cities, but the one that we care about is Fillmore. So Fillmore will be getting extended an invitation to join the Clean Power Alliance. So that'll be going back to their board to consider approval. I had a LAFCO meeting this morning, but they were just sewer annexations, so not anything that we really would get too excited about. Although they did talk about 2 developments outside of the city of Oxnard that would be hundreds of units of housing. They've got a lot of stuff that they'd have to go through if those were to ever move forward. I asked at the meeting if those would require SOAR votes, and staff said that they believed that they would if those were to ever actually move forward. One of them is like 450 acres that somebody is interested in developing. And so those are sizable enough developments that they would garner a lot of public interest and would need votes because they're not inside the curb of Oxnard. It was mentioned earlier at our VCTC meeting, Ventura County Transportation Commission meeting, it was mentioned that the Sespe Creek Railroad Bridge construction is beginning to mobilize. So that is starting to move, and they're trying really hard to get that done ASAP. Their FEMA deadline is October 15th. There is no way they're going to make that deadline. They're hoping to make the end of October for completion, but even with that, that's 2 weeks of construction that aren't covered under the current FEMA deadline, so they're probably going to have to ask for a little bit of an extension. And they're just hoping that they can get as much done as they can before that in case they don't get it, because that would be a challenge. And then in terms of the 126 safety, starting in summer of 2026, there's going to be a primary service truck, so not a tow truck, but a primary service truck that will rove between Ventura and Santa Paula. So if there's an accident, they could help make sure people are responding. If someone needs to be towed off the freeway, they can help get them connected with someone who can get them towed off. If they have a flat tire, they can help change the tire. But the idea is to keep motorists moving. I think they carry gas, so if someone runs out of gas in that section, that kind of thing. So that'll start summer of 2026, and that's part of the offset for the call boxes going away. That money that used to pay for the call boxes will now help pay for the expansion of service like that in the county. And then also coming, hopefully by January of 2026, is that if you ride, the rollout that's coming now is that if you ride any form of transit, they're going to get to the point where you can just do tap to ride. So if you've got your phone, if you've got a credit card, the hope is that by the new year, you'll just be able to tap and get on anything in the county. The other ways you currently can ride will still apply, but you will not have to go get a bus pass. So just wanted to let everyone know the contract with the vendor to approve that across the system has been approved, and so it's just a matter of that rolling out. And Councilmember Ornelas already mentioned the immigration ad hoc. The only other thing I will mention is I am legally required to mention that I did go to Mobility 21, and there were some great presentations. Their theme was partnerships and how partnerships improve transportation in our city. We really value partnerships in general, right? And so it was really nice to see how they were talking about everybody working together to improve no matter how you're trying to move, whether it's by car, bus, pedestrian, bicycle. How do we improve that? How do we work together to improve that? And one really cool thing I got to see, I don't remember what it was called. The company's name started with a G, but it's like if a train and an autonomous vehicle had a baby, but it doesn't require the track. So like most of those, if you're putting in a train, you have to install track, or if you have to install wiring or something. And this looks like a small car. It uses the width of a bike lane, and the things can run for 4 hours. And I was like, this kind of technology could be the future of like, I was sitting there going, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be amazing if something like this could get you from Santa Paula out to Santa Clarita to catch the train, right? Because the idea is that it's a whole lot less expensive to install something like that than it is to install a full train track. Like, no, that wouldn't do freight, but I was inspired that perhaps in the future there will be technological advancements that require less right-of-way and are cheaper that could get us, some better mobility in the 126 corridor. So I just wanted to share that I was excited that maybe there's hope.
All right, my report's in writing. We'll see you at the next meeting. Have a good night.